Hello guys, this is Wali here and we're doing this. This is our second podcast and I have my friends over here and I'm very excited today. We have Jalal and Mo. And we got Ahmed, that is Jalal's brother. He's off the camera, he's over here. And initially I thought कि ये लड़के आए हैं मुझे थोड़ा hype up करेंगे because I was doing a podcast before. But now I think कि मुझे थोड़ा hype up करना पड़ेगा because these guys are getting a little low. So how are you guys? How's your day been?
I feel good. I showed up very punctually on time. Like you told me to.
मैं थोड़ा लेट था लेकिन मैं इतना भी लेट नहीं था जितना वली था. मतलब वली gave us the time for what? 8?
8.
Right? And then Wali got free at what time?
10:30, 11.
बड़े producers है ना, मतलब wait करना पड़ता है मतलब छोटे लोगों को.
जो कि बड़े स्टार होते हैं ना वो wait कराते हैं.
It's the big time. It's the big
power
time.
move.
Yeah.
कि भाई वो.
I just had to get used to it because it's the big time. And
And so before we go further, थोड़ा सा अपना आप बताओ. Mo, what do you do? Jalal, what do you do? What's your life like?
Yeah, so this might be surprising, but I'm a teacher, right? I'm currently teaching in Saudi here because online teaching or COVID ki wajah se and everything. So I'm a teacher, but then it doesn't really suit my personality and how I am. So लगेगा नहीं कि एक teacher बात कर रहा है, तो you know.
But in life, do you feel like तुझे लगता है कि you're in the right job, in the right place?
Yeah, because I really enjoy working and influencing people.
I've seen you and you're like very good with kids.
Yeah, Wali's going to be a mentor in one of my classes, by the way.
Right.
Because like, there's a lot
you
of
mentioned that.
the छोटे बच्चे होते हैं, they want to do different things and everything. So one of the groups wants to do video editing. So I was like, who better to teach them than Wali?
Yeah.
So Wali's
This thing has been repeated 4 times. जब वो बच्चे मेरी mentorship में आएंगे, they're gonna get ruined.
अच्छा हाँ उसके साइड इफेक्ट्स ये है कि कोकेन कॉफी विद वोडका विद वली और ऐसी चीजें साइड इफेक्ट्स थोड़े से हो सकते हैं लेकिन जो चीज सीखनी होगी वो सिखा देगा आपको नहीं वली ऐसी बातें ना करी बच्चों के साथ ठीक है ना
Extra curriculars भी होंगे साथ, but you know, PG extra curriculars.
वो तो कुछ you wanna say something?
I am unemployed.
काश मैं भी होता you know it's such a good thing to do
Yeah, I don't do anything and
basically life जीता है ये भाई पार्टी करने आया पाकिस्तान which is you know
I'm on holiday I'm on holiday for a while. I have loads of interests. I like mixed martial arts and all sorts of high human achievement. I feel like anybody who's doing something that's outstanding in some way.
पंजाबी लॉन्डो में ना आके फड्डा और हम शेरी जैसा बंदा साथ लेके तू जानता नहीं मेरा दोस्त कौन है
नहीं क्या होता
Before you guys came here, I was thinking about this and I wanted to ask you about coronavirus and how it has impacted your life. And you were from UK and you're from Saudi and क्या सीन हो रहा है मतलब कि we're in Pakistan. I'll tell you my personal experience. मतलब कि for a few months I thought कि यार rent कैसे pay करना है मतलब कि सारे कुछ बंद हो गए थे मगर Pakistan is relatively easy. I mean कि people are still going on around और business as usual. कुछ चीज़ें बंद है जो कि जैसे कि schools हैं government ने कहा है वो बंद है दुकानें हैं वो बंद है मगर बाकी नीचे सारा कुछ चल रहा है. You guys say कि क्या what's your scene?
Well, in the UK when it started, it felt like a different society very, very quickly. It was very restrictive. You couldn't go anywhere. Even on the street, I remember I was late for work once and I was running, and I smoked, so I started coughing. And the lady across the street started sprinting away from me. Yeah, like there was a real palpable fear of COVID all over the place, which was very different from when I came here. We were pretty calm about it, which is perhaps we should be more calm about it everywhere.
Deep in my heart I feel कि तू UK से भाग के यहाँ पाकिस्तान इसलिए बैठा हुआ है. Do you feel like the corona that is in the UK It's gonna fuck people. It's killing a lot of people. And here
No.
like.
I wouldn't say that.
They brought a new kind of strain.
We have a new strain too.
Different shit.
No, but
And then they locked their borders. Right? They injected the virus into the world and they're like, oh, idhar nahi aana.
we're pitchers, not catchers. But no, it wasn't really about that. It was definitely changing like the social structure of things. The kind of socializing with your friends became much more hanging out in some room, or maybe trying to go to like the wilderness somewhere where nobody's gonna ask you about being in in the same household or not if there's too many of you. Though yeah, it was mostly that it was getting a little bit more. Kind of isolating in the UK.
Exactly. Depression game मैं करना चाह रहा था. तू बता.
Yeah, when it started, we had complete lockdown. So Saudi shut down, and I was in the midst of exploring Saudi. I used to go on runs and everything, and then everything was like you can't go out without a mask, and they fine you like heavy, right? So it's like 2,000 riyals if you're not wearing a mask, right? If you're like, you're already shit scared. You're like, Pakistanis होते थे ना especially, वो तो मतलब जिस तरह वो मास्क पहनते थे ना वहाँ पे
टेप लगा देते
वो तो भी बाहर जाने से वो मास्क नहीं पहना तूने क्या कर sometimes I would go take out the trash. This Pakistani will oh don't take out the trash without the mask. I was like यार इसके बाद नहीं होगा. So it took time adjusting to the new normal, and that's why I like coming back to Pakistan. That's why I'm here, or like I'm teaching from here. It's easier to teach from there. It's because we're restrictive about it, but not as much. We're careful about it, but we can still meet in groups. We know, we're still meeting in close circles. Wahan pe it's complete isolation.
I would say we act like we're careful about it, but
we're not.
Actually
okay,
not.
I was lying because we're on camera. We're not fucking careful. Yahi to masla hai.
Yeah.
Agar careful hote to. वैसे surprisingly, none of us has gotten it yet.
Yeah.
But बड़ी बात
No, but
है.
this is an interesting sort of topic though. How careful should we be about a virus that's hardly like okay? So I know it sounds super insensitive. It is killing loads of people. There is loads of people on the planet. It's out of the people that infects, it's not killing nearly as many people as the Spanish flu, for example, about 100 years ago. So maybe we don't need to be really, really scared that we can't walk into places, that people are going to be dropping dead left and right, or it's some kind of zombie apocalypse.
Really into the conspiracy theories.
No.
But he's right. Listen, I've got this thing कि ये लड़का जो है वो एक Saudi country से आ रहा है, which is like a Saudi is not like a democracy. You can say it's like a kingdom. You're coming from the ultimate democracy. That is London.
Wow.
Both facing the lockdowns at the same time. और दोनों की एक ही condition है. Me Pakistan sitting थोड़ा सा police वाले chill है.
We could get into police corruption if you want.
I'm just saying कि इतना के serious है कि you're right about this, but I gotta cut this and we were discussing, me and Cherry were discussing this 2 days ago. You're talking about mRNA vaccine. That vaccine goes into your DNA and it disassembles your DNA and it recreates it somehow and you are cured. Now in this century, in this era, in this year, we got things that can change our DNA. And what me and Cherry were talking about is life extension. Maybe
immortality.
Immortality. The human body has like this thing that it could live on for 300 years, and there's this thing in our own blood cells, like the telomeres, which shorten our lifespan.
So yeah, the telomeres are the caps on the end of DNA. So every time the cell replicates, the telomere gets shorter. So yeah, eventually when it's too short, the cells can't replicate, and wherever that happens first, you'll have an issue with that organ or whatever it is. So that's one of the ways of aging, which is this is
one of the ways of aging. And on mice, they've increased the mice's life by like 30%, 20 or 30%. So in today's technology, we have the ability for us guys to live like a 120, 130 years easily. And as soon as you start taking the medicine, every day I wake up, I look older. And as soon as you take that medicine, every day you wake up, you start looking younger.
Well, it's possible. I would love. I would love for that be the case, but for that to be the case. But
कहाँ से मिलेगी ये दवाई?
no, but I agree that we're heading in that direction. We're heading in that direction. यही बेचना चाहेंगे, बेचेंगे सारे लोग, हर जगह मिलेगी.
वही के स्टूडियो मुझे पता चल रहा है I could live on to 120. Like okay, सही है यार.
Yeah.
But we were discussing, think about the precautions. मतलब कि we have, what is इंसान का purpose क्या है?
Another word before this giant question. Another word on the life extension stuff, that we've already done that a lot. We already used to live until 30, 40 years old, and now we live until 80, 90 years old. This is not a new thing. We've been doing this. We make ways of making sure we don't get certain diseases, like vaccines. We make sure we sanitize our hands before surgery so the guy doesn't have to cut his leg off. There's so many things that we've learned that have allowed us to live longer and allowed us to rehabilitate things that were going wrong with us. So we have loads of different ways of doing that also, even with the heart. There's no reason to think that we wouldn't take it to the next level. Now that we've seen there's like 4 or 5, like, again, I'm not an expert, but there's 4 or 5 pathways of how we age, right? There's oxidation, there's DNA damage, something called mTOR, and there's a few of these things. But now that they've named these things and they know these things, there are people researching them. And the best we can do as normal people is like try to support that in some way. Try to either invest if you can, or get the word out about that this is the thing we need to be looking at. Because we could very easily be living to, I know it sounds radical to say, but we could very easily be living to like 200. Why not?
That's a little jump.
Because the brain, that is a jump.
A world record. But it gets to that.
We got like 130-year-old already, right? So yeah, the brain can hang on for a long time. It can have problems earlier as well, but as long as the brain can hang on, I think we can take care of a lot of this stuff if we get our shit together.
He has got a point, but you die not because of you die because you get old. Age is not just the reason, it's other things as well, like Alzheimer's, like blood pressure, like sugar. There's 100 things, and some of these things come from your DNA. They have medicines to cure that. Some diseases they have cure, like they have different medicines now for different things, and they can really prolong your lifetime. Even for cancer and AIDS, they can really prolong your lifetime for like 10, 20, 30
AIDS people can pretty much live with now with these medications.
But the earlier what I was saying is that there's the lifespan.
Yeah.
You guys are looking at each other.
He's questioning my AIDS statement. Yeah. It's true.
I was saying that the lifespan of organisms is dependent upon how fast you can reproduce. This is an interesting fact. A mice can reproduce like 10 kids in a very short time. He lives for 2 years. A cat can give birth to 6 kittens at a time. It lives like 10 years. As we get bigger, we live like 70 years. A turtle is very good at this
200, 300 years.
300 years. But my point is that our lifestyle is based upon this thing that we have a reproductive cycle, and after we're like 50, 60 and we cannot have babies anymore, we'll die anyways. But now you got like 40, 50 fucking years over that. What's your lifespan? And if you're at the same job and you're 90 and you're looking very good, what's your kid gonna do? What's his kid gonna do? They don't have any jobs. What do you think about that? Are you guys prepared for like this is going to happen in our lifetime?
A world where people don't fuck off and die. She's gonna fuck and die. No, I don't know.
Everybody's slow.
Yeah. So to think radically, if it was like one day we're like, oh look, we can live until 300, right? That's a whole different story. That would be like, I think that would change people's psychology a lot about what's important. That would be a big revelation. But the way we're going, it's probably just going to be pushing it along. And when we're talking about lifespans, none of this stuff can be verified until somebody gets to 150 or 200.
Which we haven't yet.
Yeah, so we're sitting there waiting for that anyway. But we have this clinical data with these 4 different pathways or 5 different pathways of how you age. To support which ways we can go. Another thing I want to ask you guys about, another way of data that we have is like genetic stuff. They have like biohacking. CRISPR is a new technology.
Editing technology.
Yeah. So CRISPR, the way they describe it, is essentially a way of copying and pasting or cutting and pasting parts of the DNA. So you take certain chromosomes out and you can replace them or you can put them somewhere else. So that's a huge advancement, and it's new. You know, it's maybe 5 years old or something. So do you think there's any ethical issues with having that level of control? Because there are animals, just to set the stage, there are animals that live, I forget what they're called, but they're these microscopic animals that can live in space, that can live for thousands of years, you know?
Tardigrades.
I think that's it.
This is
That's not conspiracy.
No, these theories, I get them. I've been listening to them. You have coffee theories. I like them, you know. Clearly, we're no experts. But,
So I wanted to ask you that there was nobody conspiring for the tardigrades. That's just natural.
It's tough, yeah. Okay,
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask you that. Do you think there's any ethical implications on taking abilities from animals and giving them to us? Like we used to be thinking about it way back in the day with fiction about getting like the lizard's regeneration, like in Spider-Man. You know,
like spider's web.
It's been in fiction. Yeah, it's been in fiction a lot. But we are learning things.
That
from
man
these
doing
animals.
that shit though. You can't do shit like that. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, no, but just like we did it to goats. We put some spider DNA into goat milk and had silk coming out of goat milk. Yeah. I know it sounds crazy, but there was silk coming out of goat milk, and they made armor. Google this, and they made armor with it using the spider silk, because they could make a lot more spider silk through a goat than they could through a spider. This is using CRISPR, by the way. I know it sounds fantastical. So
Magical.
assume that it's true.
Right.
What kind of ethical barriers, if any, should we put on it? Is there any morality that we shouldn't?
I'll give you an example. There's this baby born in China who has. Actually, you don't remember one? There's this baby born in China who has. He has his DNA changed molecularly by CRISPR when he was in his mother's womb. And
He's born?
He's born.
Whoa.
Twins. But what I'm trying to say is,
What superpower do they have again?
The superpower they have is they won't catch diseases. Something like
That's out of all the superpowers that happen to the world, that's the shittiest.
Vaccine man.
My question is,
Drink my blood and never get disease.
my question is that this technology was like 20-30 years old that I'm talking about right now, but you have the possibility that if you want a kid today, you could choose his height, you could choose his eye color, you could choose his hair, you could choose.
Why did he point to me when he said height? Because you're short.
That's why.
And I'm taller than Wali.
We are short.
He should have pointed at himself.
that it might be unethical.
When he said hair color, he looked at me.
So, is this why you called us, Wali?
Is this a roast?
Secretly,
are these guys gonna jump in and start dissing us?
All these comedians jump up.
But you don't know
This bald guy and this short guy.
you don't know the interesting about having this baby. You'll go to the doctor and you'll say, okay, I want the baby with this traits. And then they'll find a guy in all of the world who has this traits.
Or they'll take your sperm and they'll
take his sperm and put it in your life. That's how they do it.
No, that's
That's how you get that.
What? Wait, no. That's not genetic engineering. That's a sperm bank.
Well, he's fantasized the whole process. But like बीच में शाहरुख खान ने भी ऐसा कुछ किया था ना with his son. You can alter.
He donated to his sperm bank.
No, I don't know what Wali's saying. I've never heard of that shit. But like apparently you can alter their traits or whatever, or give them certain types of genes or whatever. And
you can change your own sperm. You can change your own sperm and egg between a couple and deal with that. So once it becomes a zygote, then they start dealing with it. Apparently they can take it out of your body, put it back in your body, put it into somebody else. You can do that too. You can get pregnant and then put the baby into somebody else's womb for a while, so your woman doesn't have to be pregnant.
I have this real research which you could do right now. This research is about going to Mars. People say that to breathe on Mars there's a different atmosphere, so you need different kind of lungs and this and that. And you can take this medicine which is available right now, and that will change your physiology. And breathe on Mars.
What?
But the side effect of it is that you cannot come on Earth back again and take the medicine of Earth again and return back again.
This sounds like an anime. This sounds like an anime.
All the movies I've seen on Mars, again, I'm no expert, but from all the movies I've seen, it seems like a shitty deserted place. I don't think I would want to go there.
Yeah.
Getting your lungs altered also.
I wouldn't be surprised if we find out that there was life there. Like, we did have the one thing, we found water there, and we found like possible fossils of bacteria. So there was some sort of life there. We just don't know if it was intelligent. It would be super interesting if it was super intelligent and then something happened, things went bad, and maybe they came here, or maybe they had no contact with us and we were the next people, in the solar system. Because
sometimes I think about that. If there's an alien invasion or something, how am I going to save the world?
Right.
And but like I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
I'm not saying that they're there right now.
What would you do? Like, what would your plan be?
I would try to convince them any way possible to be friends with me. Just leave me alone.
Open the channels of communication with them somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, you watch a few movies. Arrival is a good one. Maybe they crack the code.
Day.
Yeah. You try to reach out to them while the movie is blaring.
Yeah.
Maybe you put like a screen up in the wilderness, and then there's a projector with the movie blaring, and you're
and they will always attack. Right, so they're going to be thinking about attacking you anyway. So get to them first. Right? There's never been a movie where the aliens are good. They come here to help us. Right? They're like, oh, we're going to cure autism.
Yeah. So just in case you're listening, I don't think that. I think we can be friends with the aliens. I think
if aliens ever do.
Yeah, we're cool.
We're chill people.
We want to learn from you. If you can travel here,
we'll teach you a lot of things. Teach you a lot of things, right?
We'll teach you about maybe about art and
culture, a lot of other things.
Probably not though. I'd like to learn from you.
You can't talk to them from a position of submission. I don't get it.
I think, but we have
things to learn. Don't listen to my friend here. We have things to learn.
We have value.
There's a lot that we can teach you.
But we have no cards. We should try to worship them.
What if we get them to worship us like a more intelligent being? We convince them somehow.
Good luck with that. I'm starting the Church of Xenu. You do that. I'll do this.
But the fact you were talking about that aliens will come to this earth and they'll fuck us all.
Yeah.
Now, I was talking to this guy 2-3 days ago, and he said that aliens are amongst us already, and they're hiding somewhere.
Whoa. Hold on a second.
I thought about this. I thought about this shit. Right? Sometimes, what if we're talking and we've had this conversation? It's not really you. Some alien just trying to get information on.
No, you guys, you two cannot say with 100% certainty that I'm not one of them. You can't. You can't. But see, he went right to the conclusion, but I wasn't making this case. I was just having a laugh that it's possible, just because, especially recently, we've had some big news that I brought up to you guys before, that the Pentagon says that they've recovered alien spaceships. They say that it's all over the news, but nobody cared about it. And then they
coronavirus.
So they showed like 2-3 videos where they confirmed that these are real videos, and then the guy that would, like, one of the videos is a guy that's chasing a UFO in a jet, and he's done a bunch of podcasts after. He's talking about it, Commander Fravor or something. So like, the only thing I can think of, the only way I can think of denying this is it might be propaganda. It might be military propaganda. Maybe they have technology they don't want everybody else to know about. But that's the only legitimate way. When you see things like this, when you see that thing flying around and it can move so quickly, and then there's so many stories coming from different militaries, it's just, now we have to take those older stories more seriously too. We could discount stories in the past easier than we could now. There are stories, for example, in Zimbabwe or Kenya, excuse my racism, somewhere in Africa, there was near a school, there was apparently a landing, and all those kids are, like, if you look, it is circumstantial and it is just people, it is hearsay, but if you look at it, all of those people 10-20 years later seem to have the same story, and you would have to be a conspiracy theorist to be like, hey, there's something going on here, they're all planning it, because they were all children, they were all young kids.
Steven Spielberg was making a film about this incident. Imagine a spaceship landing between a school. Now, why did it land between the school? Why couldn't it go to Pakistan or Pakistani president or somewhere, anywhere? It landed in the school, and all of the children had the same message at the same time. And that message was that technology is bad. Technology is going to ruin you, and this is like a real thing that happened.
Is that right? They were all scared of technology after.
I don't know. But
the first movie I saw that made me scared of technology was I, Robot.
Oh yeah.
With Will Smith.
No, I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too.
Oh, yeah.
I watched that movie like at least 50 times.
Yeah.
I had the DVD, so like.
That's weird. I was very poor, and that was one of the few DVDs I had. I used to watch that a lot. Yeah.
Excuse me, guys, for
remember
just a
before
second,
Netflix.
I gotta interrupt. Guys, तुम लोग जो पीछे बोल रहे हो, तुम लोग की आवाजें अंदर आ रही हैं.
अच्छा, हम ब्रेक ले सकते हैं 1 सेकंड की?
वैसे हाँ, बात
कर सकते हैं. Yeah, he used to be a rapper back in the day.
Are we?
I mean, we learned rapping together. I remember we were really small, right? And I was really accomplished by that time. I was very talented. I made a song about like us being Muslims being seen as terrorists or whatever. I was like, whatever. I was like 14.
I think 15. I did too. Yeah.
It had a very funny hook to it as well. I don't remember it now.
Oh, I remember this.
Really?
You came over and you were like, "Look what I wrote," and it was a complete song. It was a full song. Like it was intro, verses, chorus, everything. And you put in a lot of work.
Yeah.
Cool.
But then,
what happened?
Well, basically, my problem is I'm rhythmically challenged. I can't dance.
I'm mentally challenged.
Dance, I can't. Like, you know, I guess I could rap to the beat, but like you were really good at it. Like, you know, like.
Thanks, but yeah, it was a passing kind of phase. Lots of kids in that generation at a particular time got into it, and we all used to try to like one up each other, to check out what I wrote, or you know, me more. Lots of people would be up to freestyling and just talking nonsense, but I was like, no, my poetry means things, so it's always written for me.
But Mo, I've heard this from Rafa as well, that even though you don't consider yourself that good at rapping, and you always say that you were copying other people's verses, but they always say that you were the better one. I've heard this 2-3 times.
Oh no, I wasn't copying anyone, but it was just.
It was you.
Yeah, I never copied anyone.
How did you do that stuff?
No, it was just a thing, man. It was like jukte. Like how the guys sit together and talk shit about each other. It was like that, but like in a competitive space. Like we used to, me and Rafa used to, for example, we've like, I don't know, boxed like 500 times, you know. We boxed each other so much just to train with each other, and we used to be making songs like that. It would be fun. We're hanging out in the studio like this. We're you know, having fun, talking about whatever we want and making stuff.
You learn a lot of stuff.
And I feel like creation always, not to get too meta, but the creation is always more satisfying than consumption, you know?
Yeah.
So
the journey of creating something.
So we could sit there and enjoy rap music. We could listen to loads of rap music, and enjoy it and have loads of great conversations.
Good catch.
But the level, as soon as you start creating, it's like you feel the same thing of enjoying what the product is and all of this nuance and how to make things better and how to develop things.
You understand it in a different way as well. You're looking at like
it's like reading a book or writing. If you're trying to write something and you see how firstly you see how shit you are. Like, the things I've read are so much better than how I can write.
Have you cried?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. That was my first thing that I wanted to be. I wanted to be a writer. Right? And
seems the most interesting, right?
Yeah, right. You live your life in like very interesting way, and then you write about it, or I don't know. But then I never.
You seek out inspiration and go on this adventure your whole life, trying to write the next great novel.
What I feel about all this, what I feel about this is making music is very simple. Matlab you got beats on the internet, and then you got these softwares which are very easy to learn, and you can make very good beats over these softwares. And I think a good song can be made in like an hour or two. And these people like have hours worth of mehnat, and they become so big and so huge. These people are making easy money. I always feel like that.
But that's kind of the pull, right? When you look at a musician, you look at an actor, you look at a YouTuber or a podcaster, they're like, oh, look how easy it is for him. You know, Joe Rogan's hanging out with his friends, and he makes loads of money off it.
But we never see like just the amount of like work that's been put into it, and like for you to get to that spot, to be able to like influence people like that.
Just the consistency. Like it's so hard to do something. Like even if I talk to someone and I'm like trying to be funny, I tell a joke to someone and they don't laugh, I'm over it. It's finished. It's over. It's fine, man. I won't tell jokes. But that's the thing. Like it's just about pushing through and continuing to do that thing. If you're consistent,
you keep telling them another one, another joke.
Tell them enough jokes. Eventually they'll laugh.
There'll be one joke where they're like, okay, fine.
Yeah. Some people's humor is this, that I'll just keep doing this until you laugh.
Until you laugh.
Like Family Guy, fucking Peter going. He just keeps doing it, and you're eventually gonna laugh. The easy way.
Maybe yeah. You got a point. I was about to say something. Now I forget. I forgot.
Repetition is.
I was talking about you guys, like you're like around about, I don't know which age, but I guess 30s. Are you about to go to 30s?
How dare you?
ये 30 का मैं तो कब हूँ?
How dare you?
But my question is ke
He is my buzurg, my elder. My elder. He's my older brother.
Wait a second. The viewers will testify that I look younger than you.
I'll rephrase it. I'm about to go into my 30s, and I've.
That means your life is over.
Yeah, life is over. I'm married. I shouldn't have said that. These guys aren't married, and this is a sponsored message by these guys. Any girl who wants to hook up with these guys can direct message me. I'll give the number. This is a direct sponsored message.
Right. Maybe if he curates, I'm okay with it.
He's a married man, for God's sake. We trust him.
Just don't message me directly. Wali will let me know if you're worthwhile.
Here's my question. Okay, I have those days when I'm very lazy. I have those days when I don't want to do anything. I'll relate this to Corona as well. Matlab ke I've had these. You guys have witnessed this now. Okay, you guys have to stay home, work from home. But me having my own business, I can work anytime I want. And it's like the office is also like my home, and the home is also like my home. So it's a different dynamics with my work and how I do my business. So the question is ke what is the question? Consistency. How do you get back? Matlab ke if it's like 2-3 days you're trying to do something but you don't feel like yaar maine nahi yaar karna yaar, I've had enough of this. How do you create that consistency? How do you bounce back? Because I've heard ke the greatness of a man isn't how he comes back. Everyone gets up, everyone gets down, but it's how you recover from that failure, huh? Matlab कि you could also give. I want to know some of your stories. कि कोई ऐसी story कि you really bounced back in life and it was like a thing for you. क्या?
Oh, to touch on consistency first is like the easy way is with, well, I don't know the easy way. The simple way is to put external pressure on yourself.
Deadlines.
Deadlines.
Red line. Deadline होती है ना, इस deadline पे करना मैंने काम. Deadline.
Like it's the external pressure, deadlines.
Oh, right, like a deadline. Yeah. No, but that's not really external if you're setting the deadline. You know, the simple way is that you have a boss. Like jobs log karte hain na. You have a boss. There's pressure. The guy's gonna call you. You're gonna lose your job. There's gonna be stress. You know. So, but when you're working on your own, you have to create that for yourself. You know.
Yeah.
You have to figure out a ritual where when you begin the ritual, that is how your day is gonna go. Or at least that is the next 2 hours, or you know.
Yeah, most people have that problem because you're not, you don't have a fixed schedule, right? तो फिर आप उस तरह वो effort नहीं करते अपने लिए. But like when you have a job, you'll get up at 9 and you'll go to work and you'll do that. You'll put in the work.
Show up.
But you never show up for yourself. Like you know, when you start doing something for yourself, you just get lazy. I don't know why that happened.
No, so I think the answer is simple: to remind yourself of why it's more important to work for yourself. Just in the morning.
Exactly.
Just when you start.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard these things, but again, there's two perspectives to those sides. मतलब कि there's this thing कि आप people say कि you think about this person who is the successful person, who is you, and who is in the future, and he has these things, and think कि what is this person doing? But I still do feel, क्योंकि अभी भी मेरे ups and downs आते हैं, I do still feel कि आपके जो ना दिमाग के अंदर chemical imbalances हैं. It's not always that you're in the right mind, in the right space. You're not always feeling happy, you're not always feeling sad. तो आपके केमिकल जो ऊपर नीचे हो रहे हैं ना, उसकी वजह से आपको थोड़ा सा डिप्रेशन आ रहा है, फिर आप थोड़ा सा हैप्पी मोमेंट्स आ रहे हैं. I do feel like that.
So to way to potentially deal with that is because you know that's happening. You know, it's the wise man's decision to hold that as a given, that this is what's happening. You know, I'm not going to be feeling exactly like this all the time. I'm not going to be able to make a fully rational decision all the time. You know, so then it becomes about engineering the day. When you wake up, what do you do to get into that right mindset that you need to go to work with? So I struggle with this plenty. There was a time where I went from doing absolutely nothing to suddenly doing loads, and like everything was filled up, and I had to do something at all times, and I had to look good doing it, and I had to have everything had to be on point doing it. So that once that external pressure was on me, and it was external, I was lucky to have that. Then you realize how much time we waste in nonsense. You know, I can slide back into my own relaxed, chill state of mind after work, and that's not damaging to me. You know, but I have to make sure at the beginning of the day I'm on. I need to do what I'm doing what I need to do.
Set schedule.
Yeah, I wake up, whether it's a cold shower, whether you start working out in the morning, something needs to get you pumped up. The coffee, obviously.
Secret thing that you do to get up.
So I mentioned it already, but cold showers. That's one thing I've been pretty consistent with for 3 years.
I've recently learned that if you take a lot of lemon and pour it into the water and drink the lemon water, it really helps. Something with the lemon water. I don't know. It's good for the stomach. It's good for the brain, and it's good antioxidant. Releases something like that. So going on with the discussion.
Yeah, there could be plenty of different kind of health things that you could make a part of your habitual cycle. You know, you'd wake up and have like a greens drink or oatmeal.
And it's not that hard to do. Like Saudi mein na mera jo flatmate hai, he was doing this, right? So I told him, because he was making lemon water, I was like, make it for me too. So I started drinking it in the morning because he would make it, and he was very diligent about it. Like
nice.
he'd have it every day for me. But you know, I can't do that for myself though. That I go in the kitchen and I make lemon water. But like if it's made, then I'll be like, okay, you know.
It's that impetus of starting the thing. So I don't know, have you guys ever found another, we kind of touched on this before, I think off air, but have you guys ever found a person that you have a relationship with in whatever capacity, whether it's a friend or whatever, that reminds you of those things and kind of inspires you and pushes you in that direction whenever you see them or whenever you're interacting, that you're like, oh yeah, like I should remember to drink this lemon water if that's something. Yeah.
Okay, I feel like there are certain people that push you to do or be better, and it could be in whatever capacity. It could be friends, it could be somebody you're dating.
Colleagues.
Yeah, colleagues.
एक second, we're talking too professionally about this thing about demotivation. Let me put a real scenario. Let me put a scenario on myself. Let's suppose I'm like this regular guy and I'm doing all these, I'm partying, I have a girlfriend, I have things to do in my life, I'm doing all these things, and the point is, can I cut the cake and have it? Can I party all night? Can I be with my girlfriend all night and then again go in the morning? There's some guys who are like that, who wake up in the morning and they're like, okay, we're all right. Is there something
your answer?
secret recipe? I think Jalal is like that. Jalal can
No,
do
because I
little
have
sleep.
a very, very straightforward answer. But what's your answer?
So
bro?
I don't understand the question if I'm
The question is that can you have lots of fun and also succeed?
Matlab you had party all night long and then you go to the work.
So I do
you
that
your shit.
sometimes, right? That I'm at a party or whatever. I'm somewhere and I'm there all night and I work in the morning and I will show up to work. The whole trick is that you have to know what your priorities are, right? And if you're partying, then you sacrifice sleep. Then you don't get that for that day, but you don't forget your work. That's how I try to do it. But like, what's your
So I was gonna say, so the two examples he gave, I was gonna say, absolutely not. There's no room for that at all. But no, ideally I believe that be fucking serious, man.
Yeah.
You're trying to do something.
You've set a goal.
Yeah, if you
Right.
set a goal, achieve that first, and
Yeah.
then talk about celebrating it or having
Yeah.
fun. So that's how I feel like with personally. But in terms of course, you can have fun. I've been in situations like that too. I showed up one time to work, hadn't slept the whole night. I had a donut before I came in to try to mask it, which wasn't. I don't know if it's a good way, but but it wasn't a good idea. And I showed up to work. It was just a freak accident. It was just a freak thing. An old friend of mine showed up, so. But I went to work and it ended up being a successful day at work because I feel like there was a lot of adrenaline pumping. As I was walking through the door, I was like, I can't fuck up my job. Like I can't fuck this up. What the fuck was I doing? Why was I
put in that extra effort?
Yeah. And then it comes to what do you guys? So I feel like generally pressure makes diamonds, right? The old saying. Like it's generally good to have loads of external pressure on you, but
if you could
loads of
create
people
that
beg
for
to differ.
yourself,
Yeah.
right, if you could create that pressure.
But do you
for
think
yourself,
is pressure good? Because loads of people say no, just
Loads
be
of
happy
people-
in the moment. And
loads of people thrive under pressure, like
Yeah.
especially like I feel like good sportsmen. That's a good quality to have in them, right? Like somebody that wants the attention to be on them,
Yeah.
or wants some pressure to be able to do.
wants
something.
to defeat something insurmountable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
But I feel like I'm talking about myself in my field. Okay, if I want to do a project and if I want to do a client's thing and I have to do the shoot and I have to edit it and I have to do some animations over it, that's a process and I'll get my time right and I'll do that, and that's under pressure. But if you take it another way, if I want to learn something, can I do that under pressure? I don't think so. And the point being that this society and this world is like you could learn anything on YouTube. YouTube is better than Oxford, Harvard, any institute. And
Learn on the internet for free. You can learn everything.
take my example. I could take a tutorial from a person who works in Veta Digital, who just won an Oscar for his film, and he's telling me how to do his stuff. And then you tell me that all these kids, all these people in Pakistan, and they don't have the motivation to go and listen to this guy. What is going to talk about 3 hours, 4 hours max tops? That's the limit of the interview. But the point is that pressure is not always good. Sometimes you have to realize what you want in life, what you're ambitious about in life, and you strive for that. You have some extra time. You go, you experiment, and then you have this thing. You can't put the Nestle in the podcast. They're still not sponsoring us. If Nestle sponsors us, then what will we do for sponsors?
We like juice. I like
Juice.
I like to
We're
drink
good
it.
people.
I buy it and I drink it,
And then we feel good, and we good.
and we tell other people to drink it. No, so yeah, you brought up an interesting point. What is motivation?
Yeah.
So in my mind, I think it's just a way something is presented to you. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, I could be told something, like a story comes to mind, and Mike Tyson tells a story on it. I listen to his podcast too. He's, he's a godfather. I'd love to meet him. But he goes and he said that he was in some correctional facility as a youth, and he watches this documentary. They show everyone this documentary of the greatest, Muhammad Ali. The documentary is called The Greatest. He watches the whole thing, loves it. And as soon as they turn the lights on, Muhammad Ali walks out.
Oh.
And he's, everyone's mind is blown. And Muhammad Ali, talks to them, motivates them and everything. And Mike Tyson decided right then, as he says, that he wants to be like that guy. He wants to be like him. He's the guy. So, like, that moment, Mike Tyson, if you look at the raw talent of somebody like him, he could have been a great soldier. He could have been a great, almost anything. I would be, like, I can't bet against Mike Tyson.
He could be a wrestler, what else?
An actor, an action movie star. He did a bunch of movies now, they don't work as well.
He could buff up. Yeah, definitely. He could have been anything.
The thing about Mike Tyson is that you talk about Mike Tyson, but you don't talk about his past.
No, so is it always, so the next question is it always healthy? So he might get the right motivation for what he wanted at the time, right? So I might say, any means necessary, I want a Rolls Royce Phantom, right? And I make sure I get that within whatever time frame I set for myself. That can create a lot of, because of that stress, it can create that pressure. It can create a lot of maladies in your head, a lot of desynchronization, a lot of problems, just in your understanding of things, because you had to push past this trauma, I want to call it. I know it's a big word for it, but trauma is just, I feel like it's just on the spectrum of stress, right? जब ज़्यादा stress हो गई तो trauma कह सकते हैं तो
Well, I would like to add in this case, do you think, like I heard this, I was watching this podcast about Elon Musk and with Joe Rogan, and they were like, Elon Musk was like, you don't want to be me, because I have these explosions happening in my head all the time, and that's why I'm a super genius, because I cannot sit, I have all these ideas coming in my head. And then you talk about Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson had a very rough childhood. His mother was like a prostitute or something, and things were very bad for him, and he could hear his mother fucking another dude when he was like 4 or 5 years old, and then he ran away. He went to prison. Matlab ke, do you think that to be an extraordinary person, you need to have something wrong with your head? I mean
like Michael Jordan, right? He's one of the greatest basketball players of all time, if not the greatest. He didn't face any childhood traumas like that. He just had this competitive edge. So I was watching The Last Dance, right? And there's this little scene in it. I was so inspired by it. I don't know his name, but some up and coming rookie beats their team, right? And
Bulls.
he tells the Bulls, right? And he tells his teammate that he came up to me and he said, Michael Jordan, huh? Right? And then he was so motivated.
And then he went and one-on-one.
No way. Turns out he made up that whole incident to motivate himself. He's like, what if he had said this to me? The guy didn't actually say it to him. I was like, how do you think like that? That's like this competitive edge that, makes like great athletes.
So if you have the will for it, like, so when we talk about something like Mike Tyson, it was thrust upon him, So he says this is himself. Customado said that he summoned Mike Tyson. That gives me chills, because that guy's he's a demon.
I saw an interview where he says that by the age of 18, when he was training, his trainer made him believe he was unbeatable. He made him believe he was a beast. So he was like, I would start the match that I'm not going to lose. And when you have that mentality, then you're going to fuck up the other person.
This man found or called for or summoned a man like Mike Tyson, who has this level of ability. but he groomed him and showed him what to think about,
how to
pursue.
channel that rage or whatever.
So Mike Tyson at that time, like, I don't know if this to be true, but I would bet it would be easy to bet that he didn't know who the president was, or he didn't know obvious things or what are going on in current affairs, because this guy used to, all day he's training, and then when he's not training, he's watching old boxers, he's watching great other boxers. He's a student of the sport, he loves it so much, he fully immersed himself because of the environment that he got from Customado, in my understanding. He got this environment of stability and comfort with Customado, that this is where you can put yourself and you'll be a world beater, you'll be this, you'll be that.
But you're really positive with your message. I've also heard that Customado was like doing the psychiatric things with Mike Tyson, and he hypnotized him. The guy hypnotized him.
So Mike Tyson mentioned this himself, yeah. So that's just a way of controlling your mind. So when we're looking at, so Customado had a vision already. He's an old man that was a boxer and then was a trainer for a long time. He has loads of interactions with Muhammad Ali too, which are super entertaining on YouTube. But he already has a vision that he wants to make a world champion. He wants to make an unbeatable boxer, you know. So he has this vision already to an unmolded young mind, 17, 16 years old when they met, you know. So he gets to put this all on him. But for regular people or people who don't get put in this pressure, we just go through life without anybody forcing us to make those decisions, you know. Nobody puts us in a direction. Nobody says you're going anywhere and you're doing this. And we're left to do it on our own, which can be a great thing. And some people are just like naturally, they know exactly what they want to do at a young age. I don't know if it's just naturally, I just say that, but maybe because like we talked about, motivation is just how something is presented to you. So maybe when they were at the right age, or just impressionable enough, or just paying attention enough, they were paying attention to something and they saw something which changed their personality forever, you know. There's so many variables human beings can have. How the fuck can you you know? You need to catch them real young if you wanna make something of them.
But it's never too late. I think in life it's never too late. And the thing, there's this question that I wanted to ask you. This thing about getting a guy. The question is, I was watching this podcast and they said it's better to culture a girl than have a broken relationship and fix it. What do you think about that?
It's better to culture.
Like you get a new girl, make a new relationship, then build a broken relationship. Because you can never build something that is broken and get a new girlfriend.
What do you mean?
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so. The question is that, like, if you're having a tough time in this relationship, is it worthwhile to mend it? Or should you move on to a different person?
How long you've had the relationship, and depends on your compatibility or आपकी कितनी vibing हो रही है.
Wait. So the first point, if it goes on longer, is that a reason? Is that a reason to want to continue, or is that a reason to want to end it?
Okay. So question. Now, if it's like if I've been dating a girl for like 2 years, right? Then that's a considerable amount of time that I've invested in this person.
Right? But this is the sunk cost fallacy.
but I will give it another shot, just because, you know, there's probably a reason why I've invested this time in her, because there's something about her, right? So
what probably? What are you guessing about? Weren't you awake?
I get his point. I spent so much time with this girl. I've invested too much in this girl. Now, if I go back, if I turn my back on her, I lose all my time, all my effort, and I got this girl.
So the way I think about it, not just with relationships, with habits as well, it's not that you're not moving forward with something. So if you're having good days and bad days with the girl, it's not that the good days you're moving forward, with the bad days you're staying still. You're moving in a direction every day. It's neuroplasticity. You learn things, you remember things, she remembers things. Everything is going to move forward, not backwards. So the more negative experiences you had, those are going to stay. Those are in your minds. they're never gonna go away unless maybe you hypnotize yourself, or you try to find a way to desensitize those. There's the rapid eye movement therapy. There's a lot of different ways to try to remove significance from emotions in the past in your memory, right? But that's something you have to like actively do, and that's very hard to carry when you're trying to fix a relationship with someone. So I don't know, not to sound pessimistic, I'm really optimistic about most things, but
not like the thing in 2021, that's not the thing.
So if you've done a considerable amount of, like whatever amount of damage you've done, the longer the relationship goes, the more damage has been done, the more difficult it is to salvage.
Also, like, you know, not flipping my statement or anything, but it is fun when just the start of a relationship, or when you're meeting somebody new, and just that excitement of it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's always the best part.
Yeah, that's always the best part. For sure.
Afterwards, it's, you know, it depends from person to person.
Afterwards, in one way or the other, you're putting up with the person. But when I say put up, it doesn't mean like you're
tolerating.
Yeah. It's like you're making concessions. You're trying to compromise to make it okay for both of you, so that you can both grow. Like, I like to put pressure on my relationships, or even with my friends, that we need to be moving forward, and it'll get awkward if you don't want to, you know.
I agree about moving forward, but then I feel like it's good to like want your partner's growth or whatever, but I feel like if you push them too hard, that sort of
they won't like you anymore.
So like what I do is I do my thing, right? Which is why my relationships will sometimes be complicated, because if I'm doing my thing,
you're not giving enough attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So
that's how my answer was that if I'm always doing my thing, I'll never be able to have a deep enough relationship with someone. Therefore, it has to be a relationship where the person, even if it's a friend, the person has to have a similar goal. You know,
or
some sort of similar motivation to go in there.
I don't know. I saw this random movie. I don't know which one, but I really liked this quote. It said, "Love isn't looking at each other; it's looking in the same direction." And I was like,
"Ooh, I like it."
They made fun of this phrase in the movie, but I was like, "Whoa, no! This sounds okay to me."
No, because so what the question becomes that what do you actually value in a person? What is it? Like, I value the superficial things. I value a good time. I value a joke. You know, I value.
Sense of humor is important.
Yeah, sense of humor is really important. Just a good vibe. Somebody showing you that they're happy. Yeah.
I was gonna say that. I didn't want to sound like a dick, but somebody who's just happy by like default, right?
Yeah, you don't want them reminding
like that,
you.
They're high on energy. It's
you don't want them reminding you of all of the crap that exists in the world. You're like, all right.
Which is when you get to know somebody, because you start forming this bond with them. You become this person that they want to unload their crap on, because you're with them, and that's when it starts to go downhill. You're like, okay, No, and then it's hard to put the brakes on. Like, I've been on both sides of that too, where I'm like with someone, and I'm like, look, these are the things I'm struggling with. I'm doing really well in all of these things, but this is what I'm struggling with. Fix it. Fix it. Fix it. Some intense energy. What are you here for if you can't fix it? So fucking fixing my problem. What is wrong with you?
But that's exactly what it is. So when you're putting responsibility on someone, they're most likely going to be unhappy. You know, it's going to be difficult. But like we were talking about with motivating yourself, it's about responsibility. So when you take responsibility for example, finances, you take responsibility for the happiness, like what's gonna make you have fun day to day, what you're gonna do. You take responsibility that I have to figure out what's gonna happen to give me these things, you know? So that gives you that freedom. Firstly, it gives you that freedom to work after it, no matter whatever the uncomfortable, whatever feeling. Yeah. So, but it also puts that pressure on you at the same time. It puts that pressure on you that, look, it's not a happy fun time, bro. Keep fucking doing it, and I feel like that's at least with me, that's the battle. If I slip into, which is fairly easy for me, if I have success, I can very quickly slip into, yeah, I fucking did it. Let's check it out. And now I'm much more content.
Yeah, every time, let's say I started working out.
Look how easy that was.
And I see, fuck, I look good. I'll start working out. If I start doing really good at a certain job, right, and I'm getting praised by people, and they're like, oh, Jalal, you're doing a wonderful job. I don't know what happened. I
no longer does a wonderful job.
It's like, okay. And we probably shouldn't be saying this on podcasts or live, right?
But praise. No. But praise has this effect though. It can have the encouraging effect with that mindset. अगर किसी का mindset है कि I don't know if I can do it, I'm uncomfortable in the situation, I feel like कि शायद मेरा result इतना अच्छा नहीं निकलेगा, then they need encouragement. Then they need you to say that of course you can do it. What the fuck? Watch, you're gonna do great, But when somebody's already okay with that, you should not say that to them. I think they run the risk of being too comfortable. Like I think we mentioned in like a fight or any competitive physical sport. Yeah, you have to take that into account. You can talk about that.
I'd like to add that I think we find that the people we are in relationships, the difficult relationships are more exciting for us. Because I don't know.
That is the thing. I've seen a lot of people that want toxic relationships. That sort of, I don't know. I think human beings have, or at least sometimes I have a tendency when things are going good, then you're like, this is getting boring now. Let's do something different. It's like those didn't care.
Take a risk.
Yeah, it's like you should live your life like in a movie. Right? अब कौन सी movie अच्छी होती है जिसमें सारा कुछ सही हो रहा है? Everything's happy, तो आप कहते हो, who's gonna pay to watch that movie, right? It needs to be a little exciting. कुछ fuck up हो. So I feel like that's the
so then you can pick the romantic movie where the guy's like, oh, I'm gonna do things for love and fuck this great job that they're giving me. I'm gonna go and chase her and find her at this airport and be like, listen, we can be homeless together. Fuck it, So
but at least
you can
we'll have each other, right?
Or you could go to a movie like The Pursuit of Happiness, and people who know me have
his favorite movie is Pursuit of Happiness.
They're tired of me saying this.
I saw this.
Because that gives you such a great picture of how a man takes responsibility for what he's needing to deal with. There's so many points in that movie where you will be like, fuck this, man. Leave this kid, chuck this kid in a dumpster, divorce your wife, leave the country. Fuck this,
figure your shit out.
Yeah,
dude.
you do you, man. But this guy takes responsibility over and over again, goes through the worst that he can experience in his environment over and over again, gets humiliated over and over, and keeps moving forward. Not even thinking about any other way forward. He's just constantly. He's an archetype. That character is an archetype. It's a hero.
But that guy is not thinking about himself. He's thinking about other people.
Wait, plot twist. He's a real person. It's a true story.
Oh, based on a true story, I always love those.
I used to love this movie and everything, and I talk about it passionately like that too. But 2 days ago, I saw this YouTube video where it was he did the ending for
Jalal had some
wardrobe
going on,
malfunctions.
It's the six-pack popping out.
So it was The Pursuit of Happiness, the ending scene, but for a threesome. So the guy sort of like, it was hilarious as fuck though, where he was just like, the same music's playing and he's like, I did it.
So this is kind of, I'll tell a short anecdote about this, but this brings me to a question I would ask you guys that, like, so for me too, something that took away the power from Pursuit of Happiness was seeing Jaden Smith do rap songs. So when he did this a couple of rap songs, he looked like a fool, and I was like, "What? Oh, that's that kid." Like, but no disrespect. I think he's awesome. He's he's rich. He's successful. He's doing well.
They're both very talented.
Oh, Will Smith is the dude, man.
No, I was talking about his children, but yeah.
Like there's discounts. But anyway, but what I was getting to was that it took away some of the magic too. But so I wanted to get to that. So imagine if I saw that movie and it had such a real impact on me, man. It really had a good impact on me. But imagine right after that if I saw what Jaden Smith becomes, or if I saw this movie, somebody making fun of Pursuit of Happiness, it might have taken away that power.
Yeah, it would have ruined it. Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So do you guys think, or how do you guys think we should have an information diet? Like how can we make sure we're getting the right stuff in our eyes and in our ears?
Let me be specific. We're talking about Jaden Smith being a homosexual.
Nay.
What? Who was talking about that? Wait, what was? Nobody here talked about. I didn't even know this. What is he? What?
I don't think so. I think maybe bi.
No.
I don't know. Maybe he's bi.
I've just listened to a couple of songs by the girl, by his sister.
Yeah.
And I feel like Willow Smith.
Willow.
Yeah.
I whip my head back before I hit my
head. Wait a minute.
Taking his question, I think with relationships, there's something about family. There's something about your wife. There's something about your girlfriend.
Jump from the Smiths to the family.
I'm talking about relationships, and you just confused me.
Getting the right information. Does that matter with the person? Do you want to see those things with that person? Do you want to see?
If your partner was cheating on you, would you want to know? Or would you want to live like?
That's the juggler. I think I'd want to know, but what I was talking about was that would you want to get past certain levels of intimacy with people where they reduce their attractiveness. So, I don't want to sound shallow about it, but yeah. That happens. That happens. As you spend more time with a person, you see behind the curtain a little bit more. You see behind what they're presenting, and that's okay. That I'm sure happens with me too.
Yeah, sometimes it's fun doing that.
Yeah. So you want to discover that stuff if you're already deeply infatuated with that person. You're already excited about that person. Then you're like, oh, let me see what the strategy, what is behind the curtain. You know how she does this sometimes, or does she mean it, or does she?
There's something specific for everyone. I'll talk about my relationship. I'll talk about my relationship. There's something specific, I think. I was talking about family earlier and Jaden as well. And the point I want to make is with I've been in a relationship for almost 10 years and she's my wife now. And there's some things that I want in a girl. She's always like too demanding and she's always fighting with me. But I'm sort of the old school person, and I like the loyalty. She won't snitch on me ever. In front of my parents, in front of anyone, she's like a loyal girl, and I would sacrifice everything else over this one little thing that I think is important. And same with Jaden and same with Will Smith. It's not about the pursuit of happiness. I think it's more about their family, and they'll support each other whatever the cost. Don't you think ये एक perspective नहीं है?
Yeah, so if you're talking about so when you're in a relationship with someone, when do you know that's So you can get loyalty from like no disrespect. You can get loyalty from a dog. You can get, and I fucking love dogs. So you can get that quality from loads of people.
What's the point of having a relationship when you can get loyalty from?
No, that's not at all what I'm saying. I'm not saying bitches are bitches. Let's get a dog. No. I'm saying that there's very different levels of people you want loyalty from, right?
Yeah.
So there might be some dude or some girl that's gonna give you that loyalty, but you don't want it from them. They're not worthy. As arrogant as that sounds, everyone has that level for them that they're not worthy. I want something, you know. So I don't know if it is. If it is about loyalty, like I've met the person he's talking about, by the way, and she's awesome. Like I get it. They've been together for a long time, and I get it. But generally with me, I don't get it.
I'll add on this kid. The thing he wants in a relationship is that the girl understands his motivations and he understands the girl's motivation, and they work together in a path. And he tried to work that thing, but the girl was not that serious.
He doesn't want a girl. He wants a fitness trainer and an assistant. That's what he wants, and a cook.
He's not that wrong.
And a motivational speaker, yeah.
Nay. I'm the motivational speaker. Just take care of the chores.
And be a good listener. She needs to listen to him, you know, and then just you know.
No, but what other way is there to sustain an interest in another person if it isn't a goal? Because as beautiful as somebody can be internally and externally, you can get used to great things. You can get used to the best of things. You know, even if she has a great personality and you're like, oh wow, she's the perfect girl, whatever. A few months later, it's gonna be like, yeah, whatever. This is this girl that I have. You know.
That does happen.
Yeah. So then, what other way is there?
Because the three of us are boys and we're talking from our perspective, but it just, I don't know why they don't keep, like we should as a relationship, keep spicing it up, keep doing different things, but then generally relationships just fall into this steady pattern where they start getting boring, and then
that's where it's scary.
It's and then
like when it gets to, if it's a good one, I don't know if you will be happy. So this is the question: imagine it's a good rut, right? We're talking about getting into a rut where it's boring and you sit down. Imagine it's a rut where you're doing the same thing every day, but it's the perfect routine, and you're not super excited every day, but you're just like, yeah, we're going through the motions, but it's awesome. I'm, making little progress in gym. I'm doing better with money. I'm doing this. So everything's working out, but I feel like, and I've had little experience of this, I feel like it still feels like a rut. It still feels like there's no excitement, or that's why maybe you guys were saying you want some drama sometimes, you want to shake it up. What's going on? And I think
but then with the right person, I guess, right? Somebody that you can get into trouble with, right? Somebody like, but then you never come across people like that. I don't know.
You have to, I don't know.
Maybe that, But like, generally, so far, from my experience,
oh, so they messed that up in the movie. Just for the record now, they messed it up for the movie really bad. Joker and Harley Quinn's relationship is like, they have the opportunity to make the best scene in cinematic history.
I agree. The scene where he's convincing and persuading her
into insanity. He's convincing
and they
her
missed out on that opportunity, and they cut the scene into some bullshit. What was it?
A music video.
Yeah, it was like a montage of it was a music video of them falling together.
And you see a couple of shots of him like leaning over the table saying something.
With like Zack Snyder, I think he was the
fuck Zack Snyder. His latest movie was a good one, brother.
Yeah, I haven't seen, but what he does wrong
symbolism
in these,
a little too much.
It could have been. There could have been amazing dialogue
I
there.
The Joker looked too pretty for his role. And the early Joker.
No. There's a Joker like this. So there's all these different versions, right?
Yeah.
So there's
the
a guy
comics
like
have
this.
always varied
Yeah.
on this, and
And Jared Leto, people have said that he did it well. He did good.
I agree.
Yeah, but the editing of the movie was crap. They edited the movie like a trailer, like a music video. They were always trying to get you to kind of hype up. By the way, there is I think it released this month, a couple of weeks ago, Justice League Snyder's Cut.
That's amazing, and they have the better Joker. I don't know, they took the shots earlier or they took the shots now, but they have the better Joker. But coming back to the point, Harley Quinn, yes, she leaves the Joker because Joker is not good enough, and we were talking about spicing up your relationship, and that's like a very important thing. Maybe it's when you're in a relationship, you find out something else is more important, like delayed gratification.
Yes.
That's also a thing. And
So this is the most general level. This is what I mean. That if you can both agree on this, you don't have to agree on what you're gonna do for money or what you're gonna do to work out. But if you both agree on this, that we need to work on delayed gratification, we need to build things that are going to pay off in the future, then that can be a way to.
And my relationship advice to everyone is that there's like this balance. Matlab ki you have your good moments and you have your bad moments. You have to repress your bad moments and you have to hype your good moments. So there's this balance, and you remember most of the good stuff, but less of the bad stuff. And that really happens, but still the question is, after a while, there's this like honeymoon phase, the first 6 months when you're with the girl, you feel like really happy, you have this butterfly effect in your stomach, and you're like enjoying the sex. But after after a while, after a year, we're all boys, we have to discuss this. This is the first need. So after a while, things start fading away. And with a relationship, I think I'm not looking for the excitement, but I'm looking for the stability. I think with time you change your priorities. And the most scariest thing is when you have your kids. I haven't had a kid, but the point is when you have a kid, then you really need to be stable. Imagine our parents being alcoholics and leaving each other and stuff like that.
Yeah, not having money, and yeah, I can imagine it. Yeah,
our parents were.
No, but this is the my parents were also.
Yeah, mine too.
Childhood trauma. Talking about why do I feel like I just want to say this thing. Why do I feel like I like girls that are a little bit rough? Because I've psychotherapied myself, and I've learned that my mother was a little rough on me, and my father was a lot less rough on me. And now I look like, for a girl like my mother, maybe. What were you saying, Mo?
That's actually the Freudian theory, right? You always look for
the qualities that you see in your parents.
Possesses, yeah.
Yeah, that you see in your parents, as a man in your mother, and as a woman in your dad. Yeah.
Tell me about some of your childhood traumas, man.
Yeah, so no, I wouldn't call it a trauma, but with relationships, I've definitely noticed. I was going to bring up that one of my, I don't know if it's a mistake, maybe it just wasn't the right time, but with multiple partners, I've been growing on my own, and not been completely transparent at all times about what's going on inside what I'm doing.
He's in the church, he's confessing right now to all his sins. Go on.
It's really difficult to find people that you can completely open up with, right? And they're on the same page as you, completely, and तो वो flow कम होती है ना उससे.
Yeah. Even with a person you can feel like that in certain times, but you're not consistently like that with them because they're not consistently bringing it out of you either.
Sometimes आपकी 3 दिन बहुत fit vibing हो रही होती है, you're like, oh, this is, and then the next 4 days you're like, okay, yeah,
this person.
Yeah.
Get out of my face! Why are you so close to me? Don't.
So. And I guess we're attracted to relationships like that are sort of hot and cold, and I don't know.
Yeah, because like I don't know, long term it can't. I don't know. It just doesn't. Because if you shut somebody out, whether it's real, where they can feel it or not, if you're going through things, or you're thinking about things, or you're coming to epiphanies and changing your direction in life and stuff, and not sharing that with your partner, and not just sharing is the base level, not motivating them about it, not making them understand the vision how you want to understand it, they don't have much of a chance. You know, you've done a lot more thinking than you've done talking. So I feel like a lot of people can work together. Like, I don't think there's like, you guys might disagree, I don't think there's any such thing as like soulmates or anything. I just think anyone can anyone could be happy with each other. Any two human beings could be happy with each other, regardless of any.
Mold your ideas towards one direction. Yeah, that could work.
Yeah, as long as you're both willing, as long as you both understand that it's not going to be, it's not just going to jigsaw into place, that everything is going to work. That can happen too, by the way, and I feel that that's the way. So, Jalal might disagree. I'm in that stage right now that I think you should be finding the person that you're way closer to, rather than trying to get people closer to you. There are people out there, man. There's all sorts of women, all sorts of men that are into whatever we're into. Maybe more. Maybe they're further ahead than us. Maybe they're
true.
You know,
true. Yeah.
But I would myself say that it's
like this random chick came earlier and like knew all sorts of shit. You know. She knew all sorts of things that were actually helpful right away, without us being like, hey, you know, or with any friend either, if she was a male too, like without us being like, hey, learn this, do this for us, or figure this out. So there's people that have a skill set that's already close enough to you.
Yeah, that's true.
But on the other hand, I think I've been with, in my life experience, I've met so many girls. I've been in my school and my university, and all my life till now I'm a professional, and I haven't found a single girl who wants what I desire. You can't find that chick, man. It's impossible.
Here's the mindfuck. They'll pretend. Almost.
What do you mean?
At least, I don't know.
Okay.
So they'll pretend. They'll tell you. You tell them that these are my goals in life and this is what I want, and they'll be like, yeah. Okay. That happens. I also believe this.
Sometimes, there's some girls that will try to like become this person that you've been talking about, and then suddenly you'll be like, oh shit, she is this person, and then that's a lie because she's not that person, and then it just.
But fake it till you make it, right? How bad is it? If she really wants to do it, if she's really trying.
Yeah, but then your
good on you.
personality
Fucking try it.
always comes out. Right?
Yeah.
And then you shouldn't try to be somebody else to be with somebody, right?
Yeah, it's a difficult position for her to be in. I do. It's a lot of stress throughout positions in her life where they wouldn't be stressed. You know. I've seen that too. I've put people in positions where it's like they don't necessarily want to be. I was talking about networking events with you before. I went to a networking event with this lady, and she was not like comfortable in that situation at all. Like she was super excited about it. She got to dress up and look good and everything. And we show up, and she's like deer in the headlights, and she's like, oh, when can we go? And I'm not trying to do this. Even though we've talked about this, not specifically this place, but she's very much on board. That was one of my first inklings that, she's really having trouble with this. I was a buyer. I bought in completely that, she's for real. Until that moment, I'm like, oh shit, this is hard for her. She's trying to put this on, So, and everyone does this. I try to put things on if it's I don't know, whether it's for professionalism, whether it's for females or even dudes, or even athletic people that you're doing sports with and stuff, you put certain fronts on for that certain time. It's not some
You're a
big
different person with
Yeah.
different people. Yeah. For sure.
While I'm competing
Yeah.
with someone, I'm competing with you.
I'm
you know?
completely like yeah.
Yeah.
What,
You
you know.
should write a book on this, man. We've got too much knowledge on this, man. Our relationship right
Mainly because people say that you're putting fronts on and trying stuff, and just like we did with the girl, she's trying stuff, but maybe she wants to be that way, but it's going to be hard for her, you know, because you're changing your habits. It's just like hard for me to do change any habit.
Yeah.
So yeah, like
Even with the girl you really
not a
like, you
bad
become
thing.
this different person who's trying to be a little
Supplicate
more
a little bit.
impressive than you actually are, right? You know, you'll be in that zone when you're trying to like, you know, sort of get, you know, be with her because you like her or whatever, right? But
I've once
you know,
said exclusive news. I've once said that I came from the gym when I didn't actually come from the gym. So you know, things happen.
yeah.
I agree.
I think when I'm with any girl, I would not be like, I am just great. I'd be like, girl, you look good. You look fine. And I'd be like, what do you want in life?
Listen, that's a good way of, you know, getting to know somebody. That's
So it's about what you want, right?
yeah.
If you already have which might be the issue with me, if you have too much of a realized point of view on what you want, it becomes more difficult to fill that. You know. So it's not necessarily a good thing to know exactly what you want. You know, you want to maybe discover things sometimes and be like, oh, okay, I don't really like that too much, but this is cool. Like, I didn't think I would like her being like this, but I like it, you know? So being more open-minded, I suppose, but you learn as you go forward. And so what do you guys think about being less or more experienced going into a relationship? So this is what it kind of comes to.
What's the question? Like, would I want to be less
I tell
experienced?
you this personal feeling that I
No,
have.
so what effect does it have on? So he gets the question clear. What effect does it have on the relationship being less experienced or more experienced? For a good.
Should I answer? I think. Repeat the question again.
So what effect does your experience level, your romantic
Ha 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 ha. I wanted to share this personal thing. Sometimes I've had fights with my girlfriend, and then she remembers those past things. कि उस time पे तूने ये किया था. And then the best thing I can come up with is that I was not that mature back then. That's why I did these things.
That's the worst weapon. This is what you did back then.
But coming to the point, even if you're a murderer, even if you're like a psychopath, one day if you decide, if you really from your heart, from the depth of your heart, you decide you can change, and you're a nice person now, and you can help other people, I really think you can change. It's on a day-to-day perspective, and Mike Tyson was like that. Mike Tyson, Customato told him how to box. He gave him the formula, but he wasn't a successful person in life. He fucked up his relationships.
This is the magic. Yeah, but this is the magic of Mike Tyson. This guy is so special that when he realized he was so fucked up, when he realized that, oh, what the fuck, I don't want this in my life, he put his mutant alien mind towards becoming a better person. And now he's a wise, sage old man who I want to adopt me. Mike Tyson, if you're listening,
Please adopt this boy.
yeah, he's like,
This guy can double
I'll come to America. I'll come to America.
There is so much to learn from Mike Tyson if he does adopt you.
Bro,
No other person to push you
he's
forward.
the ultimate guy with the most clout. He's the guy that you're like, okay, I don't have to question whether you're legit or not. So he's fully legit, and he's fully in that stage in his mind where he's ready to impart his knowledge. I'm excited. I'm a big fan of his podcast.
Hope you get adopted soon.
If one thing comes out of this podcast, it's Mike Tyson.
What was the point of bringing up Mike Tyson just now?
Mike Tyson, because
he put his mind towards exactly.
This is the last five minutes, I think, of the podcast, and I want to interrupt, and I want to talk about this phenomena called the Fermi Paradox. Me and this guy were talking about this, and I think it's been a special podcast. It's just my second one, but it's been special. And what do you think about the paradox? Is that there are too many stars, and wherever we look, they're more. Where's the life? There are more more stars in the sky than the grains of sand in all the beaches of the world. And whichever star that we point our telescopes at, we find that there's at least one habitable planet. It might have 8 planets, but one of them is in the Goldilocks zone, in which and we've also found out that there could be super Earths that are better for us humans to live. The bigger, the better. We'll get a bigger brain. We'll get a better muscle. But the point is that where are all the aliens?
we've been waiting, haven't shown up yet. Maybe in the distant future, when he's adopted by Mike Tyson, the aliens will.
When I'm 200, Mike Tyson's 300, and I'm adopted by him, we'll be contacted by some aliens. No, but I think with this was my view on aliens was that there's definitely intelligent life in the universe. It's just not intelligent enough to get to us.
Yeah.
We're too far away. It's too much travel time. There's too much travel time. We're too far away. No one's life expectancy is enough.
The guy who was talking about these UFOs.
And another problem with it. I stand by it. Another problem with it is that the universe is a certain age. It's like 13 billion years old. So how long would it take for life to get to a really intelligent point like that, like we did? You know? So if it took us 4 or 5 billion years, then how many other civilizations are there that got to that point or killed themselves getting to that point, killed themselves after that point, survived much longer? Who got to this kind of interstellar travel?
The great filter is either ahead of us or behind of us. We hope that we have passed the great filter, but I think technology is going to destroy us. It's going to fuck us over.
But not if I have anything to say about it.
Next Elon Musk. Ladies and gentlemen.
But why? With every technological revolution we say this.
Point is the universe has been good enough for any civilization to prosper for almost over 1 billion years ago. The dinosaurs lived like 200 million years. Us humans were around for like 10,000 years, and we
10,000 years we've had farming.
We say that the first building we made was 10,000 years ago, maybe the circle, but then whichever circle. And the point is, if a civilization has enough time, with our current technology, if we have 1 million years or so, we can colonize a lot of places. It takes with our current technology, it takes 75,000 years to visit the nearest star, but we could get better at it. I'm pretty sure. Elon Musk, our boy, is on it.
I'd like to present a case study to this and compare it with this. I believe in the 8th century or something, during the Ottoman Empire, there was a scholar called Al-Ghazali or Ghazali. He put out a tafsir, which tafsir means a dissertation on what he thinks the religion is. And in that he said that numbers are the work of the devil, right? And at that point, until that point, the Ottoman Empire was producing, I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about this, that the Ottoman Empire was producing algebra from Al-Jabr. Al-Jabr is the guy's name. It's algebra. Yeah, there was a modern medicine guy. There was a bunch of different guys that were advancing human knowledge. We were getting further and getting better at doing things because of them. But he said this, and they're on the run. And there was somebody else who said the printing is also haram. So look how easily you can stop a civilization. That civilization could have been the ultra civilization of the future today, if it continued in that golden age. Just how we have all these what if scenarios in our movies, there's so many possibilities where so many of them could have killed. What if World War II, everyone had nukes and everyone started nuking each other and the earth was no more?
You got a point. Maybe aliens in the future.
But then, because of nukes, another world war didn't happen. Because that's why the Cold War happened. Right, because both of them had nukes.
Because only one country had nukes at the beginning.
Yeah, but
that's why the World War ended.
Yeah.
So imagine Russia had nukes during the war. Maybe during the war. Japan didn't have nukes. Yeah.
You guys got a point. You guys got a point, but I really do think that...
Just as a disclaimer at the end, these are all just speculation and ideas.
Yeah, we're no experts.
I'm just trying to, I let out whatever the understanding at the moment is, but I'm not married to any ideas.
Yeah.
If there's better information, it's better.
We'd like to know, or we can...
That's all you can I'm on the mic with Mike.
We could change it to Mike.
Michael and I've got a ID card.
The podcast should be called Wali. This is the inside joke. You on at the end.
Podcast you.
Podcast you.
But ये भी important एक topic है. I'm thinking of a very cool name for the podcast. Which sounds almost inspiring yet,
general.
Get general and relatable. I've used this word before.
Hello.
But I started talking on the phone now.
Hello. Can I have my voice?
How about wondering with Wali?
Wondering with Wali.
Give me the
www. You go on, it works on so many levels.
www. Welcome to www.
Welcome to www.
Wondering with Wali. I like it, man. Not bad.
It's a name. Should check it out.
And then
Mगर the question is कि मुझे अगर नाम डालना है बीच में.
Yeah, Wali wonders. Shorter, sweeter, and
नहीं मगर जैसे Valentine's हो गया.
Yeah.
जैसे कि
Every episode will be like Wali wonders.
this, yeah.
AIDS.
Oh,
Wali wonders.
what Wali wonders about
Aliens. Wali wonders the Ahmed Gilani. The next episode.
यार मुझे एक और बात रियलाइज हुई मैं जूते नहीं पहने. Is it okay to come back to the podcast without the jutas?
Yeah, you gotta take your pants off, bro.
नहीं मिल रहा.
2 cigarettes going on. जैसे चल रहा है बाजू कैमरा.
कैमरा चल रहा है मगर एक दिन पॉडकास्ट भी शुरू करते हैं.
वैसे जरूरत तो नहीं है.
पता नहीं लोग क्या समझेंगे कि जूता
ये सही है ज़्यादा बेहतर है.
ठीक है मैं अब फुल फ्रेम ले रहा हूँ थोड़ा सा ना बड़ा फ्रेम ले रहा हूँ पहले थोड़ा ना क्लोजअप था ठीक है ना सही आ रही है
Yeah, I'll take mine off. After hours of the podcast. Wondering with Wali. After hours.
ये वाले पहन लो ये पड़ा हुआ है
We get 100 likes, so come on with that problem next time.
Don't you say that on camera and then
Yeah, it's on. We're on.
now.
Oh, God, it's sexy.
Hello. Mic test. We're back on the podcast.
Rules of making a podcast: never shoot a podcast without your.
वैसे if I really put this thing in कि मैं अपने जूते पहनने जा रहा हूँ.
How we could fast forward this scene just a little bit, looking to you.
The guy has his shoes on.
So what are the do's and don'ts of making a podcast? Like, apart from like.
Seeing as it's your second episode, what's the outlook right now? What do you think is good and what's bad in podcasting?
What I think is
Casting the board.
It should be natural. Like what I learned from Joe Rogan is he said that I don't have an agenda. I just let it flow. It's just us friends talking about some stuff.
Big of Wali talking about his competition on screen just like
Giving Joe Rogan so much shine.
Joe Rogan, this is your moment. Enjoy this. Free marketing. What a great guy. Joe Rogan never does this. Wali,
Just shout people out like that. He does. They're not running yet.
And what do I think about podcasting? I do think that you need to talk a little less and let the other person talk a little bit more. मुझे वही podcast अच्छी लगती है when the one who's doing the podcast is not speaking so much मगर topic इतना interesting चल रहा है.
The conversation.
Evolves with the thing.
Yeah, I feel like somebody like Rogan asks really good questions. Like he tries to understand it the best he can, as genuinely as possible. But to be honest, I started with Rogan, but there's so many interesting perspectives where podcasts come from, where it's like, what about this character talking to this guy? You know, it'll be the same people, and most of the time it kind of trickles down from Rogan to other podcasts of his friends and other comedians in the West Coast scene. So when you see some scientist on Rogan, you're probably gonna see him on, I don't know, like not the BML, but Theo Vaughn's show or like Bobby Hughes' show or somebody else's show after. So you get to see some next character interact with that guy. Just like we were talking about the alien stuff, the Fravor guy was on Rogan, and it was awesome. But then he was on Lex Fridman's podcast, and it was
super
like,
awesome. Lex is
yeah.
one of those guys. What's with Lex? Lex is like this black belt MIT guy who's like a nerd. He doesn't have any hair, but
like I want to be his friend. This guy is a neuroscientist.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, black belt in jiu-jitsu. Right? Is he black belt? Or is he's in jiu-jitsu? He's
in
trained.
jiu-jitsu. He has a black belt.
Yeah, so at the very least he's proficient in jiu-jitsu. And he does a podcast with the most interesting people ever. He's just a nerd, young guy, he's like 30 something I guess. You know? He doesn't seem too old. But he's my guy, man. When I see a lot of the same guests on Rogan and on Lex Fridman's podcast, I more often than not like Lex Fridman's podcast. I like comedians on Rogan more because he's also a comedian. They can have more of a comedy.
Basically, Jalal, there were a bunch of comedians who were doing these podcasts, and now because of Joe Rogan, there's Lex Fridman, who is someone from MIT, and he's doing his podcast, and there are a few more
He was
like
doing
him.
it before he came to Rogan's podcast, but there was the promote key.
Magar, it's like a bunch of scientists are now doing podcasts, and they think that the podcast is the right way. Eric Weinstein. Do you know about this Eric
he's
Weinstein?
My guy, man. So Brett Weinstein, I was most impressed with first. I didn't know who Eric Weinstein was. Brett Weinstein is this evolutionary biologist who's a very interesting, smart guy. Very liberal, very like beating heart. Loves everyone, and So, but somehow he got caught up in some weird nonsense in Evergreen University. You guys can look at that. But Eric is a real intellectual, man. I think that guy might have a real answer for a unifying theory of physics. even though he's not famous. He released it. A geometric unity. Or something like that.
It was something about geometric unity. Yeah.
But so Lex Fridman is one of my favorites too. But my new guy that I listen to every episode of is Huberman. Andrew Huberman. So he came on Rogan, and then he came on a bunch of different podcasts, and then he started his own. You know, and he's a neuroscientist, and he's just looking at all the science and telling you how you can make best use of it. It's fantastic. It's so it's almost dry. You know, it's not about entertainment. It's about him giving you this information. But it's still entertaining because he's dorky and cute. It's still fun to
watch. Basically, the long format is something new. मतलब कि a Hollywood movie could hire a bunch of good actors, $1 million actors. They could make a set. They could make a movie for an hour, and that would cost them millions of dollars. And people don't watch that movie. People prefer to watch a Joe Rogan podcast because even though he's doing it every day for 2 hours, he could do it without any cost. But people are more interested because it's something to do with the long format, how you can convey your message and how impactful you can be.
Really get into something, keep talking about it, and get into depth of it. So yeah, I guess it's a different platform. You can keep doing it, and the content gets varied, and you talk about so many different things that you can't do it, right?
I think it's a good way of self-discovery and growth too. Because if you're forced to talk so much, you know, you'll just naturally come across the same topics over and over again. I've realized this even if I've been forced to talk just for a professional reason or a social reason. But once you keep going over certain things, you can perhaps understand them at a deeper degree or share them in a better way with other people. So one way or the other, you're going to learn something by going over it.
It's sort of like you're practicing over and over again. Keep getting better at it.
Because you're always going to, so if in some other podcast topic that we've talked about comes up again, you're not going to drastically think differently just because it's the next episode, but you're going to be able to say that drastically.
And plus, there's some facts, and you're not just saying the facts, you're presenting the story in your own words, in your own mind, and in your own expression. That's very
fascinating for the viewers to see the growth of people who are doing podcasts, how they become something different, right, over time because of them.
Over time because of that.
Oh yeah, but so we're fans of Rogan. I've for sure Joe Rogan. I've seen that a lot. I've seen that a lot from him interviewing people way back in the day. Even he got into some arguments with some of these lefty weirdos. It made sense. I don't hate him for it or anything, but his style was way different. Even in the newer podcasts, when he did get into a contentious situation or he did get into an argument with someone, he made sure not to cross it. He made sure to stay here and be like, no, even if he would say something like, what the fuck are you talking about? Or no, that's not how it happened. He would straight up say that it's not true. Like with the Sherman guy or Sherper or something.
I think I've watched a bunch of those compilations in which they're about to fight.
No, there's that. There's the professional skeptic, and he was talking about some vitamin C delivery method, where some scientists mentioned that this way you can get up to.
Yes.
It's like, I was so angry, I turned off the radio when I heard that. And Rogan's like, what are you talking about? Why would you be so angry? And he's like, because why would you ever need 3,000 IUs? He's like, yeah, but he's not saying you need 3,000. He's just saying that you can get this much absorption that quickly if you do it with this delivery method. And again, you can see the guy is not, he's a very intelligent man. I've seen him on some other podcasts. But you can see in this moment, he's just not, he's not being logical. He wants to win. He wants to win for some reason, whatever the issue is. But he's not trying to be reasonable. And he gets destroyed in front of everyone, you can understand that this guy's completely wrong and he's insisting on it. But still, you see Rogan's kind of class in handling it, where he didn't really do any ad hominem attacks to the guy.
But
you're a fucking idiot.
but he has grown in a certain way, but
He's still friends with him.
the Joe Rogan has created another culture, I think. And what I think is there's
huge fan.
there's this cancel
He's
culture,
the biggest podcast in the world.
cancel culture going on as well. मतलब कि look at Alex Jones. Are you a fan of Alex Jones more?
I wouldn't say fan.
But मतलब कि when Rogan even had Alex Jones is banned on the net, and when Joe Rogan had Alex on his podcast.
Yeah, so that's where it showed how, like, what level of crazy Alex Jones is. So I always used to think Alex Jones is the top level crazy fucking lunatic that you should never listen to. It's a joke. Just listen to him as a joke, you know? So, and even on Rogan before that, this wasn't the first time, it was like the third time he came on Rogan. But even on Rogan before that, on anywhere I've noticed him, except for like one documentary he made himself when he was young. But even then it was like, oh look, it's fucking Alex Jones when he's young.
Yeah. Let me get into this. This Alex Jones guy, you don't know about it. This guy, when the 9/11 thing happened.
Alex Jones?
The name sounds familiar, but I don't know exactly.
He's the king conspiracy theorist.
King conspiracy, but let me give you some conspiracies. When the 9/11 happened, he was talking about all this undercover shit and all this. There's a secret state and there's a secret government handling all the people around him. And he actually went to one of these parties, and he actually documented. He
This is the documentary I was talking about.
documented those people having these insane rituals.
This is called the Bohemian Grove. It was created by Mark Twain way back when, and it was a liberal hangout for artists and fun people, you know. But then it got taken over. Apparently, according to Alex Jones, it got taken over by more right-wing type of people to live out their temptations.
And what do right-wing people do? Bring some small kids to the party, have sex with them, and okay. I'm coming to this point. I said, so this Alex Jones guy is like doing all these things since like the beginning, and he talks about this pedophile ring, which operates in the billionaire class, and he says that these guys transport little children and they rape them and they murder them, and no one believes him. And he's talking about Jeffery Epstein before Jeffery Epstein was nowhere. He wasn't in the news. And then suddenly we find out like 2-3 years ago that Jeffrey Epstein is a billionaire who has a child sex trafficking ring, and Bill Clinton has been 27 times on his island. On his plane. He has all the artists with him, Michael Jackson, I don't know which fucking artist, everyone's with him. And he's like...
There's even a video of Trump telling him that he likes that one.
Yeah.
Right, and he's pointing to some little girl
in a party. Yeah. No, there's pictures of him and Trump standing with a girl that's under.
Yes.
But not just, as in, not just Trump. Everyone. Like, it's easy to demonize Trump. He does it to himself. But to everyone.
Okay. Till now, this guy seems like a reasonable guy, and this guy and Alec Weinstein, they both met Jeffrey Epstein, and they both have different stories about him. But then he says, now listen to this. He says that in every culture that came before us, that we don't know about, there's this thing that when you have sex with a underage boy or a girl, maybe 6, 7, 2, 3, and then you murder him. At that point, there's this. It's also when you take DMT or ayahuasca brew, that there is this entity that you can communicate with, and when you are about to slaughter this child, this entity comes and gives you the power. That is the power. That is the ultimate power. That is the power to rule the world. That is the power to do anything. It's something like that. And this has been shown in the Mayan culture. Mayan culture was in they took children over on the top of the pyramids and sacrificed them, and they were high on DMT. And then we can take this in the Egyptian culture. They slaughtered their children when they were high. And every culture has this thing. Even the Anunnaki, the African type cultures. And the point is, do you believe? Do you think now is this in the conspiracy theory? If he was right from the beginning about all these things, now he's saying that there's a special power that comes. That's why they're doing it.
I don't know.
So this is the thing. When I look at Alex Jones, this is what happens. So the documentary you're talking about, he infiltrated the Bohemian Grove, and he says that and this stuff is amazing. What he did. He was a young guy. He infiltrated, and he says he saw all sorts of Hollywood stars. He saw all sorts of powerful politicians, and so. And that was pretty amazing because he went and interviewed people after it.
इसको देना कैसे ये टिश्यू पेपर चाहिए?
Sorry, carry on. My bad.
Yeah. So he interviewed some guy after it. I don't know what his name was, but he was some politician or something. And he was at the Bohemian Grove, and he got really pissed when he asked them the right questions. And then he was like, "Yeah, I was there. I know what you guys do there." And this and that. And just a correction from earlier, I don't think he said they burned kids. I think he said they burned like figures of kids. He said they burned like stick figures or something of kids. But anyway, he was invited and snuck in, and he thinks he was invited by like the FBI to expose this. They helped him to expose this. So once he exposed this, and it turned out to be pretty fucking legitimate way back in 2002 or something. I don't know when this was. This was a long time ago. After that, he got lambasted as being like a lunatic, and he didn't do himself any favors because throughout he's doubling down on everything. He's not only saying that what I said was true. He's coming out with new theories constantly. He's coming out with speculation about what he thinks, why they're doing this. So he comes up with a theory called Pizzagate, right? Where he's talking about all these politicians and everyone are fucking kids. And Epstein's part of it. He mentioned Epstein like a decade ago, right? And but everyone's like, that sounds crazy, because he's saying all the most powerful people in the world get together in pizza places and get little girls and little boys and they do crazy things to them, and they call it a pizza party, and we've got messages and we've got emails from Hillary Clinton talking about this and organizing this so they can all get together and do this, and they're doing it for immortality. They're doing it so they can take the life force from these kids. So he gets super like into it like that. He sounds like an actual fucking schizophrenic. So the speculation is obviously speculation. That's him talking about, I think they're doing it for supernatural powers or whatever. He can't prove that.
There is another theory.
If he just talk about what he can prove, it would be interesting. Like the Joe Rogan podcast, the last one. Everything he said, because Rogan got a lot of heat for giving this guy a platform. He got banned off YouTube. He got banned. I don't know YouTube, but he got banned off a lot of platforms because of what he was saying, right? So Rogan gave him a platform. Everyone was hating on him, and so Rogan made sure to fact check him on everything. So watch that podcast, and it's ridiculous. There's
so many things that he said
that are verifiable. That are true, but then he does always, even in that podcast, he does go too far with his little speculation on top, So it's easy to discredit these people, and he says himself, in that podcast too, because I'm fucking going crazy, Joe. I'm fucking going crazy, Joe. It's been fucking 40 years. I'm telling everyone. I don't get it. It's like trauma, man. And this guy's discovering shit that all these powerful people and shit we're voting for are going around having like random orgies, right? And then this guy getting mad when I talk about it. First, he's thinking he's a hotshot for releasing these things, but over time, nothing happened.
Nobody gave a shit.
Yeah, right? Nobody gives a shit. So I think he's kind of lost his mind like that.
His pride or his ego or I don't know, his brain maybe, like just getting rejected so much. Imagine you're telling the world something you've seen and nobody fucking believes you or cares.
To be fair, he got some attention for that thing. But then uske baad se he made a channel or something, I don't know,
He has this website called Infowars.com. That's where he is. But
it has loads of viewers. But the mainstream just doesn't allow it.
But I just gotta say that Joe Biden, the president of the USA, उसके बेटे का laptop पकड़ा था उन्होंने before the elections. Hunter Biden, and he had pictures, child pornography, and he was doing some things with children, and it was not just sex, he was also beating him and something like that. And what Alex said, it's like if me and you, we were buddies and we're going to do a business together and we're in this cult, then you have to go in a room and do something with a little child, and I'll videotape him and I'll have this leverage over you. For the rest of your life, that you cannot fuck with me because I have this videotape of you doing something to this kid. That's how you enter the thing.
Okay. No, so this there were exactly. There's a lot about Epstein about this, that he was potentially just being used as an agent that can do this. That is good at doing this. That is smart, that can talk well, and that can meet with high society and introduce them to child sex. You know. So as he does this. With the island especially, but I don't know if he had that the whole time. But as he does this, he keeps getting dirt on the most powerful people in the world. For some reason, the owner of Victoria's Secret gave him full control of his money.
Millions of dollars.
Where did Epstein make his money? Like it's crazy. I saw it on the documentary. It's no secret. But where did Epstein make his money? He didn't. He didn't. It was just people who entrusted him with their money to invest and stuff, apparently the Victoria's Secret guy gave him power of attorney over everything he owned. And it was either because maybe
he had something on them?
Maybe he had I think because he had something on him. You know, but there's also a theory that he loved him. That he loved Epstein and they used to fuck.
Epstein was a smooth talker. Epstein was a smooth talker. He could talk to you into anything.
One guy in the documentary talked about it like a superpower. He was like, you guys don't understand. If you're in a room with Jeffrey Epstein, what he wants you to think is what you're going to think. What he wants you to do is what you're going to do. He's such a master of commanding people that he always makes sure he gets what he wants. You know, obviously this could just be his experience, kind of exaggerated. You know, but yeah, I know some great salesmen, man, and I could say that kind of sentence about some people I know.
About yourself? Maybe no.
But
you want to know a secret? I'll tell you a secret. He has this scientist coming over, and they're like very big scientists from these big institutions all over America, and he has this 2-3 girls, and they're very hot looking, and the scientist comes in, and the scientist starts talking about the scientific things, like Eric Weinstein came to him, and suddenly he changes the topic, and he introduces the girl, and he's like, hey, do you want to do something, and do you want to hang out? And he completely shifts the situation, and because there's a girl over there and she's very hot and the scientist wants the girl, he has this power over everybody. That's what he was doing.
So there was a line in that Hero Dark 30 movie, or was it, I don't know, maybe it was that or some other movie like that, where they were like, all you need to do is give a shit a Lamborghini.
Do what you want.
No, a Lamborghini or one. It's very easy to buy people off. I don't think it's about arrogance. I think anyone just presented the property.
And so you guys were talking about UFC earlier, and I know this guy has something against Khabib. Would you like to share something with us, Jalal?
I just need to overrated.
But someone's gonna beat this guy, man. This is not the end. Like if Khabib wins, he's the super champion. He can never be beaten. He's like a superhuman. I don't think so. I don't buy that.
Yeah, I have a problem with his personality. I just feel like just the type of person he is. He's very raw and not developed. I don't think he's humble at all, right? And the way he talks, But it makes me want to slap the taste out of his mouth. It's just
That's my in progress.
It's and just his accent and the way he is, and I told Dana, I whoop your boy. Just I don't know. I don't like his vibes or his energy. I want to be friends with him.
You know the first time where he broke character, where he went from being a martial artist purely and not saying anything to saying, "Give me your chicken." that whole thing. That was because he was meant to get a title shot that McGregor got, because McGregor came up in weight from featherweight to lightweight. So he got the title shot, and Khabib was ready. He'd proven he was the number one contender. He had to take another fight because McGregor was fighting on this big card. So Khabib was on the same card, like the co-main or the beneath that. And he was like, "Oh, Dana, give me your chicken." Tap, and now he's in there. He started the shit talking in that moment because McGregor was getting something apparently. But then, like 20 minutes later, just to set the record straight, McGregor gave the best single performance in lightweight championship history. Like no argument. It was ridiculous. Him versus Eddie Alvarez. It was ridiculous.
But McGregor, what do you think about McGregor now? Which sort of a situation
I thought I mentioned Khabib. I thought he was gonna expand on that, but I gotta mention about Khabib. I fucking love Khabib. I love Khabib. I think he's a fantastic fighter. I think he overcomes all sorts of skills with how good his one skill is, how good his grappling is. It's so much better than people striking. He fought Edson Barbosa, who like fucking fires off combos and kicks like they're bullets. Like it's scary to fight that guy, and he controlled him completely the whole fight. So he has this great skill. I love him in all these things, but they're I gotta kind of agree with this guy. He's overrated.
He's overrated. Someone gotta beat him, man.
No, it's not about not getting beat. So let's talk about that. His first 15 fights, I think, at least 14, maybe more, were against people who had fought 1 or 2 fights. So they were against complete amateurs, right? He gets up to this good record in Russia, then he gets to another level in Russia, which is harder. But it's and he's doing Sambo. Obviously, okay, this is an MMA record. Yeah, he was a Sambo world champion before that. He's obviously a very tough guy. Like, he's not a fraud, but in MMA, his record was mostly against bumps. And then he came into the UFC. He did really well in the UFC, but it was always by the safest possible route of controlling someone. And then when he won the title, it was against number fucking 11. Yeah, it was against Ally Quinta. Just because of weird scheduling things, and he was ready to fight. There were so many fights where he dropped out and fucked up the main event. Him and Tony Ferguson were about to fight. I was so pissed off about that with both of these guys. That I had 5 times of it. It was
that would have been a good fight to see.
Tony Ferguson is so dangerous off his back, and Khabib puts everyone on their back. So
Tony Ferguson versus who? Gaethje or he got
Gaethje destroyed everything. He ruined it. He ruined it. So it was Tony Ferguson had a 12 or 13 fight win streak in this division in the UFC.
But this guy was running and Gaethje was after him, was kicking his ass, man.
No. That's true. But this is in the UFC, highest level in the world. He has 12, 13 fights. Khabib was on 1 fight less than him. They both had crazy win streaks, and each time were on 5 or on 9 or on 10. They kept getting matched up against each other, and each time the fight would fail. And then 3 times because it could be twice because of Tony Ferguson. And it would just fail, it just wouldn't happen. So they kept fighting other people and beating other people and going higher and higher. And it's so different though, because Khabib, I really wanted to see this fight happen. Because Khabib was, it's almost like Goku and Superman. Because Khabib is always dominating, he's always in control, Even if he's panicking when somebody's striking at him, he's about to grab them and he's gonna push them against the cage or push them down. after the cage. But Tony Ferguson is always coming up against people who seem to fuck him up at the beginning. And then he overcomes this power level and becomes Super Saiyan 2 or whatever. Breaks through the limit breaker. It's fantastic, man. That guy's career, if he had won the championship at the end of it, he won the interim championship because Khabib dropped out of that fight. So he almost made it, but that movie was almost complete. He was the underdog in almost every fight.
I'm coming back just a second, you guys continue.
Sure. The beginning of this run, he starts this fight with Lando Venata, who's a great fighter as well. He gets kicked in the head, almost knocked out, he's bleeding all over the place, and then at the end of the fight, Lando looks worse than him. Is ripped up all over his face. It's ridiculous. Every single fight of his is like a comeback, Cinderella story. It's fantastic. Yeah, I was kind of rooting. That's all. We had these on too.
We had these off, and we were shooting without the lights. But it's okay. It's okay. So what else? Who are you vouching for? Logan Paul, Jake Paul, or or this guy Ben Askren?
Ben Askren.
Who's gonna win?
I saw. I didn't know about this guy before today, but I saw him beat Robbie Lawler, right? And he was getting completely fucked up in the first minute. That was the worst beatdown in the history of beatdowns. Yo, he was so bloody. He was getting punched.
Let me set the stage for him and tell him what happened to him. So this guy's supposed to be the best wrestler, right? And he's one of the best wrestlers. His first fight in the UFC, and it took a long time to get him into the UFC, right? And he had like 19-0, big record, So he comes in, fights Robbie Lawler, who's an ex-welterweight champion. Wrestling background, but he's a striker who knocks people out. Askren takes him down to a certain extent, right? And grabs him like this. Lawler just decides to stand up and slam. He stands up and slams him on his head.
And then beats the shit out of him.
Oh my god.
He won that fight. I was like, what the?
And he won.
So yeah, that's like a huge comeback. Like, getting
that was kind of controversial how he won. I just gotta say.
Yeah. Oh yes, I saw that. Yeah. It wasn't a complete he didn't have it locked.
It wasn't a choke.
He didn't tap out or anything.
It wasn't a choke, but it looked like he tapped and his hand went limp. But it didn't look like it was around his neck. So why would his hand go limp? It was weird.
Maybe he was, I don't know, trying to, I don't know, but
he was
relaxing a little bit.
He was doing his thing, man.
Maybe he was trying to relax, trying to get out of it.
No, but yeah, he couldn't get out of it for a long enough time, and it felt like he had such leverage on it that eventually he was gonna like break something in the dude's face. Like, I don't know. I feel like he deserved the win. He came through some adversity,
Maybe it's also
and then in his next fight he gets knocked out in 5 seconds.
And this is like a classic wrestling move, right?
Yeah.
Somebody has you in a headlock, you just pick them up and throw them over, right? It happens in WWE all the time. But nobody loses on a choke in WWE.
Right, yeah.
You gotta have a finishing week.
But the more important guy is this Jake Paul guy. He's like a YouTuber.
So who do you think?
Us in the future.
Yeah, I don't know. So I've never seen this guy fight apart from this fight, but based on this
seen
fight,
Nate Robinson?
No. I've seen Jake Paul fight. I haven't seen the
Askren.
Yeah, Askren before. But judging from the fight, since it's going to be a boxing match, and this guy doesn't look like he was a great striker. So I don't know. I think Jake Paul might take this.
Yeah.
That's a big one. No,
because you know why? He set it up in a way. The guy's not a boxer, right? This guy has been training. Like, okay, even an idiot, if with enough training and practice, right, could be amazing.
To a certain level,
right?
Yeah.
And this guy's been, learning how to box. He's saying he's dedicated, right? And I don't think this Eastern guy is a great striker. How is he going to like measure up
So
in
just
terms of
to-
boxing?
Just to play devil's advocate a bit. Ben Askren has had so much more high-level competition. True. With other athletes, you know. So he's been up against other Olympians. He's been up against in 2-3 things. He's world class in MMA and wrestling and fucking disc golf or whatever, which he shouldn't have said. He just shouldn't have mentioned that. but
No, what? I didn't
disc golf.
Disc golf.
Yeah. So firstly, that's a thing. Firstly, that's a thing.
That what? Yeah.
It's self-explanatory. It's a
Disc
thing.
golf. Okay.
And Ben Askren is one of the best.
Because he's the only player in that game. He's the only one
When does
playing.
this fight happen, by the way?
April like 17th. Next
Oh,
week.
so, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Not that far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Make
So
another podcast analyzing how this guy got his ass kicked.
we can do a fight companion. We can watch it. We watch it while we talk.
We have a guy who's called Guy over here, and he's like this brilliant guy who's doing a video thing today.
Yeah.
But I have this plan, I have the keyboards, I have a bigger screen. So the next time we're here, we're gonna put the screen over here, and Guy's gonna get Jamie to the Joe Rogan. And you're gonna say, Guy, ye laga
Pull this
se."
up, man. Yeah, get it. Right, that's true.
Guy जो है वो हमारा behind the camera बंदा है, the guy behind the computer.
Yeah, guy behind the scenes.
There's Spider-Man doing his web shit, and then there's this fat kid on the computer. Spider-Man do this, do this, do this. Guys like that guy. But the more important thing is being transitioning from a YouTuber to a professional boxer, and he's having this fight with Ben Askren. And what I'm trying to say is we started YouTubing, and after a few years, like 3-4 years, we're like into professional fighting. And why do people want to? I don't think this kid can win, but people want to see him get fucked up.
Oh yeah. I would be really happy if he gets his ass kicked. Right? There's something about this guy. Just like I was talking about Khabib, right? Something just makes me want to slap the taste out of his mouth too. I don't know. It's like not that I'm gonna do it. It's just you get this itch from certain people. You're like,
He's off put it. But I saw the press conference with him and Ben Askren too, and it was kind of like I see where he was trying to shut him down constantly. I could see him trying to channel his inner Nurmagomedov.
It was so cringy, even with when he tapped him on his stomach.
That was so sad.
It was
he face palmed him. But Ben Askren face palmed him and moved away, and this guy goes.
And it was more like a tap on the stomach. It's like, yo, what's up?
And then he pushed him in his back, and yeah, it looked bad for him. I don't know. So
he even put it up on his Instagram. I was like, okay. And I watched that. I was like, what? If that was me, I wouldn't highlight that on.
So many people made fun of it. That was ridiculous. But I must say, I was trying to play devil's advocate before, but I do feel like, so if I had to make a prediction, if I have to bet, I think Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, so firstly...
8 days.
Huh?
I think it's 9 or 8 days.
So, because he's very young. He's in his 20s. And he's training, and he's an athlete right now in his 20s.
And he sounds fucking motivated, right? Like,
Yeah. So I hope he's motivated.
Yeah.
Like, cause it might be that he thinks he's motivated and he's not really training with real people, you know. But it looks like he's training with real people. He has big coaches and stuff. Yeah. So if he's actually doing that shit, he should be way ahead of Ben. Ben Askren avoided striking his whole MMA career. He used to talk shit between fights and about his next fights that, oh yeah, I'm training really hard. Not striking though. Like, he'd make cute little comments about how he doesn't give a fuck about striking. He's just gonna grab some guy and win. You know? And it was like that. He's like a Khabib type of character. If he grabs you, he can win. You know? So Yeah, I don't see how he wins this. He can win maybe if what's his name, Paul gets really tired in the 4th or 5th round. You know, like really tired. If he really blows his load and he can't do shit and he gets finished. But otherwise, I think first 1, 2, 3 rounds, Paul has enough energy to dominate those rounds. If he doesn't knock him out, he's at least going to be pressuring him and pushing him back. And then Askren's going to hang on. I don't think Askren's going to get knocked out. I can't see that happening. I think he's a tough guy.
Yeah, I don't think Jake Paul has the striking abilities. I mean, he's knocked 2 people out, 2 people. Like,
yeah, but Nate Robinson was like diving towards him with his chin. Like, I don't know.
What was it? Dana White said I bet $1 billion
on Askren.
Why is Dana White so sure?
No, because
that's his boy.
Because of what I no, it's not his boy.
Isn't he a UFC guy?
Oh no, but he's a UFC guy despite how much Dana hates him. It took them like years to get this guy signed to the UFC. No, but
and they kept him on the sometime.
Yeah, well, he lost a couple of times. He retired. Maybe he's on contract. So अगर वो वापस आता है तो UFC से ही लड़ सकता है. I don't think anywhere else. But what was I gonna say? Dana bet $1 million on him because he's like, this guy's a fighter. And that guy's a YouTuber. This guy's a fighter for his whole life. He's been from being a wrestler since he was a kid and then becoming an MMA fighter. He's always been competing with guys, trying to intimidate him, trying to scare him, trying to beat him down, push him and bully him. There's no way in Dana's mind like that.
Also, it's not if it was an MMA fight, right?
Oh yeah.
I would go with what's his name? Askren, right? But it's a boxing match, right? The guy is not a striker at all.
Yeah,
he has. So in the match, Jake Paul, I don't see him getting knocked out because the other guy doesn't have the striking ability. But so the only other outcome that we can get is Jake Paul dominating. Right. Not dominating,
well, yeah, no. There's the way I can see him winning is that Jake Paul blows his load in the first round.
Right.
You know, he goes after him like crazy. He gets super tired
because he doesn't have the experience of long fights.
Yeah. Or he thinks he's gonna take him out. He sees his chance. He thinks he's gonna take him out. He goes crazy. Askren survives. And then you see Jake Paul lose a couple of rounds, lose 2-3 rounds, and then lose the fight. It's only an 8-round fight, I think, right? I still don't see Askren knocking him out, but it's possible if the guy gets tired enough. It's not about. It doesn't always have to be some big one-punch knockout. If he can finish him, he can TKO him. You know, if he gets tired, he can't fight.
You guys sound a lot optimistic about this guy. What do you think about Logan Paul versus this guy, the top boxer?
Mayweather?
Yeah. What do you think about that?
That's a freak show. I don't know what the fuck.
Like, what is the...
But that fight was
that guy's so much. I don't know how much bigger is he than Logan Paul. How much bigger is Logan Paul than Mayweather?
Mayweather is like, I don't know,
145.
Yeah. Well, in terms of height?
No. Wait.
Oh, I'm talking about height also, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
It's almost like you need 2 Mayweathers to stand up.
No, it's a big guy, man. Yeah. And if it's not an exhibition, it's kind of stupid for Mayweather to do this.
Yeah.
But I think it's an exhibition, right?
It's
not a
pro. Why is it stupid for Mayweather though?
Because it would be embarrassing, and it's not.
Well,
really,
if you're a Mayweather, you're probably thinking,
there's no way this guy touches him. Yeah. So
he let him touch.
I would be surprised. Yeah, I would be surprised.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if Logan Paul can touch Mayweather in the face. I would be surprised, but. What a lot of people have said even after they fought Mayweather is that I should have targeted the body a lot more, and I could pressure him towards the body. I'm not saying that's all easy, you can beat Mayweather. He has ways of countering this, obviously. But with this guy's size and his youth and his exuberance, he can push forward and
when is
potentially do something. I don't know if there's a date for that yet.
Yeah.
Is that confirmed?
Yeah, I know, it's been confirmed.
It was confirmed, it was supposed to happen, but people were not showing up, or there was something happening, and they postponed it. It was like sad.
Yeah, Mayweather is a genius like that.
Yeah.
So what else? What else? Do you want guys want to talk about the thing about the superpowers, China versus the USA? I mean, I was doing this podcast earlier as well, and I asked this question that we're thinking that China, USA might have a few companies. I mean, you have Facebook, you have Google, you have Amazon, and you have these 5 big companies, and these companies are driving the economy. They're trillion-dollar companies. But rather than that, China has like this huge technology boom going on. Everything is being made over there, and plus they got a lot more population. That's why they got a lot more engineers, a lot more people who can work in the factories. And suddenly it seems like, and plus the policies. The policies are like that Trump comes and gives one set of policies, and then Biden comes, then he gives some other policies. And plus they're invading other countries, they're making everyone angry. And do you guys think that China's going to come over like 2030, 2035 in the next 10-15 years over America? China just needs to, I think, capture the people with something like, they got TikTok, you gotta admit, but they got have to have something like a Google thing.
No, I think in terms of coming up, China has like a huge market.
What signifies for both of you? What signifies being past the US? When can you say that China is one?
China.
When the world stops operating against the dollar and starts operating against.
Let me break it to you guys.
That's never happening.
That there's gonna be a big problem before that happens.
Yeah.
That's not a realistic kind of thing.
Yeah.
Before that happens, there could be a new currency in the United States. Before that happens, there could be a world war. Like, that's a ridiculous proposition. That they'll allow that to happen.
Just how America's controlled the world economy, like, at the IMF, World Bank, they have like leading.
Well, now China seems to have some influence in those things.
No, China started their own a counter agency against the IMF. I forget what it's called, but they started another World Bank sort of a thing. Because the other one, IMF, if you want any loan or any development fund cost, you need 86% of the votes. Right? And America owns 15% of the votes. So you can't possibly get anything from them unless America is on your side. So you have to lobby with them. Now China started their own thing. So I guess, but just how firmly America's controlling the world economy, I don't think it's going to be easy to.
Even as military.
People exactly. So people talk about how China has a lot of bonds, a lot of American bonds. Like America owes them a lot of money. So where do you see that going? What happens if America defaults? This is unprecedented. So this is the biggest economy in the world, not only based on trade, but it is the biggest power in the world that can enforce trade. It can enforce sanctions. It can do all sorts. It can create new economies out of nothing. Though it's impossible at this point to fight them, which is kind of why I think there's so many of why America has become so polarized lately. The enemies of America can see that we can't take them head on in any way. Their military might is so much further than everybody else's, and even their intelligence, I think. So I think this is how they infiltrated. This is neo-espionage through using the internet, using Facebook, using these things to influence elections, things like that. I think this is how America is getting influenced, and maybe with the radicalization of both the left and the right. Okay, you're the left wing where you crazy idea out there, you can have farms of people agreeing with it, and giving it likes and doing all of this shit, even if it's a terrible idea and nobody actually likes it. You know?
China's a lot different than that. I agree.
So that was Russia and America's little battle. China is like dead zone. Like we don't know what the fuck is up. So we know they're, you know, I don't want to say tyrannical, but they're tyrannical enough to do whatever the fuck they want. You know, like the government is powerful enough to enact any policy that they feel like.
But I wanna say this thing that you guys are betting on the dollar. But what is the dollar? I think that there's a figure around 60% of the dollar is printed in the last year. That the dollars that are in circulation, 60% of them have been printed in the last year, and they don't have any inflation. And what they're doing is that they're not making any products, and they're only making money. So the products that are left over in the stores, people are buying them. And once those products vanish from the stores, the prices are gonna go up. And once the prices in America are gonna go up, then the world is gonna see. Because America is in a way exporting its inflation towards the world. And what I feel is that the world was already tired of this dollar thing, and they had already crashed in 2008, and everyone was waiting for another crash, and they were waiting for China or some other currency, Bitcoin or anything other than that coming in the way. Because I do think Bitcoin is kind of making some things better. It's decentralized. But what my point is that America just printed $3 trillion out of thin air when the pandemic hit. Our loan is like, the whole of our country's loan is like $30-40 million. I mean, you could pay the whole world's loan. And then after a few months, they printed another $3 trillion.
So what does this mean? What is that money worth?
Let me just end this, and they're like saying, fuck you, fuck everyone else. We do what we want. We got the military. It is partly the military's pressure, but it's also everybody else's fault for going along with this scheme. The longer it takes for us to realize what that value of that dollar is, the longer it goes on, right? But it's not necessarily it's easy to paint it as some kind of Ponzi scheme America is trying to push on the rest of us, which it is, but it can work, you know, and it has worked. We've done loads of development all across the world, by borrowing from ourselves in the future. So it can work. We can do this way. The problem with China is we don't know what their strategy is. It's most likely some kind of communist strategy. It's most likely some kind of very dictatorial, very overwhelming. Yeah, surveillance. Yeah, so they've already got loads of surveillance. So when we root for the underdog in that way, that these guys should take over, when the U.S. Does something, they have to answer to their people and to the rest of the world. To a certain extent, they can lie, they can do. I'm sure there's loads of ways to it, right? But China has no one done. They do what they want, and then we see what happens after. But don't you think that America is like the custodian of democracy, and they like got the biggest congressmen and everything? And a few months ago on Capitol Hill, there was a riot and there was an attack, and they were going to kill those congressmen. And that is the custodian of democracy. Don't you think that democracy is failing in some ways? And don't you think that Chinese were laughing at the Americans at that time? Because you cannot attack on a Chinese parliament or Chinese Capitol Hill, whatever that is.
Yeah, so that shows the power of the people that came up and that they were the people didn't shoot them all. You know? They didn't. The guards or security didn't shoot them all because they're the people. They're the people who elected these fuckers.
Okay. Let me give you another
Tiananmen Square incident in China.
Tiananmen over there.
Where they massacred people, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And yeah, how about like 40 million, 50 million, and now something.
Yeah.
So
Part of the Cultural Revolution.
the Great Leap, they call it.
Yeah.
You know. So this is the problem, though. I kind of I remember your last episode that I listened to. I felt the same way, that I don't think it's legitimate to talk about morality when you talk about world level thing. You know, you're talking about intergovernmental issues and people who are thinking about millions of people. You know, Stalin thought he was a hero. Stalin was like, this is what has to happen for the rest of the people to be happy.
People thought Stalin was the hero up until he, fucked everything up.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, you can't, there's no level for that, because every choice you make can be extremely immoral, and it kind of by definition is, because who the fuck are you to make decisions for millions of people? Yeah. By definition, whatever you say, oh, the government should give you welfare. Who the fuck are you to spend my tax on? Oh, the government shouldn't give you welfare. Who the fuck are you to decide that we shouldn't help our poor? You know, like it works both ways. I err on the side of who the fuck are you to tell us how to spend our money. I err on that side that the government should have as less power as possible. But in the end, when it gets this big, who can say who's right and wrong?
But there's this like a few financial institutions like the BlackRock, which has like a lot of assets, like most of the assets of, you could put all the American economy at one side and you could put this organization at one side. And don't you think that there's this billionaire class that is taking all the money? Actually, the transfer of wealth has been like unimaginable. Billionaires in this pandemic have gotten exponentially rich while all the poor people are suffering. And still the economic graph is going upwards because all the billionaires have made double and triple and a lot of money. So don't you think that system is not fair for us as like a third world nation? We would never benefit from that system. One of these billionaires could stand up, one of these organizations could stand up and short the Pakistani currency. You know, these Nawaz Sharif, I don't specifically know the Nawaz Sharif thing, but when Imran Khan came, the dollar went from 100 rupees, or below 100 rupees to 160 rupees. And the rupee was free floating. So these big organizations, one organization, a person in one organization can attack a whole country, like Pakistan, like Uganda, like these little countries, and they can hijack the whole economy. And that's the problem. People say that these organizations are too big to fail, and I wanted to come to this other point. Do you think that Facebook is too big to fail? YouTube, Google is too big to fail? I think that these companies have gotten too large.
No, but the last question was kind of deeper. Do you think capitalism can work for these countries? For our countries?
Our countries.
Well, even Marx said that before you could get to like a pure form of communism, you need capitalism. Communism or whatever system, So the first thing I feel like is getting wealth, and that's something that capitalism does. Like it's just the entire system is just guiding you towards making money, right? Just the whole concept of demand and supply and just making something that will sell. So and then you're just motivated by that, right? But pure capitalism can't work either because you need somebody to like start making the goods that nobody else would want to make, like street lights. Who's gonna pay for street lights? Apart from like central authorities, right? I mean, yeah, you could get people to what way would you do it? How would you get people to pay for street lights?
Whenever there's an economic incentive enough, I'm sure the street lights wouldn't be high on the priority list, But I don't know. So when we talk about capitalism versus communism, a lot of the times I see people saying it like, before civilization it was like there was a tribe here that had possessions, and there's a tribe here who shared everything. They loved everyone. So that's not what it is. The natural way is capitalism. The natural, normal way of existence is competing over resources and trying to make more. What capitalism allows us to do is to multiply how much we can make. We can make it much quicker and much bigger because we can cooperate with each other and say that, hey man, I'll pay you after we're done with this thing, and I can make some money from it.
Oh, no. If I was a Marxist, I say you're using the wrong word. It's not cooperation, it's exploitation, right? That's what capitalism is based on. But then again, like, you know, I feel like that has to be part of the system in order for the system to create wealth.
Yeah, so even if it's a communist system and it's a big communist structure with this company that makes cars, right? Are they not exploiting the guy who's working on the car? The lowest level employee?
Well, no, because he's still being paid the same amount that the CEO does.
What? But what about the owner? What about the people who are still part of the government? Yeah, the government. So
that's the problem.
There is no choice.
Government.
There is no choice in who they are, and that's not the case, by the way. There's nobody go paid the same in actuality. That doesn't happen. That's not a real thing.
So with Pakistan, I would like to add, Pakistan's Bhutto says that we should be a socialist nation, and he nationalized all the big organizations. And what happened? People stopped loving money, they stopped working, and everything got to down.
I think it was a disaster
for Pakistan.
Yeah.
We haven't still really recovered from that.
Yeah.
We were once the Asian tigers. This is like a complicated thing.
So there's sacrifices you have to give for growth, right? So even if you talk about the most individual level, if we're gonna grow some muscle or something, we're gonna work out and sacrifice that pain and that muscle damage that we're gonna create at that moment. That's the sacrifice that we're gonna make. So when you're talking about economic growth and stuff, there are sacrifices you make. You don't set a minimum wage too quickly. You don't do that. That's ridiculous. You know, you don't set child labor laws too quickly, as heartbreaking as that sounds. Because it's not always what the worst case scenario is. The worst case scenario is that some poor child who should be going to school is getting, oh no, but don't go that way. Come into this sweatshop and make these footballs. It doesn't work that way. Most of the time, first of all, it is a job. This is not slavery. In any of these child labor countries, when slavery happens, that's still against the law. You know, even if child labor is allowed, slavery is against the law in these countries. And child labor is not allowed in most of these countries too. It's just not enforced properly. But
be a
that kid,
spokesperson for capitalism.
No, but don't you think that a lot of the times that child, I know some village people, you know, like a lot of the times that child would love that opportunity. He gets some fucking money in his hand.
Yeah, but then consider how fucked up that is and the life that they have.
Well, what was he doing before? Scooping up shit in a farm? Was he living a happy, cool life like Hollywood thinks he would be, and without like it's not like child labor or fucking Hollywood Fun Time Disney Channel. It's not. These are not the two.
But see, when they come here, like they're not.
At least he pays money for his parents, so they're there.
Yeah,
they feed him. But they exploit him.
But tell me, I listened to this guy called Dr. Jaden Smith. He's like this guy on CNN, and he's like a very old
Gangsta News Network? Snoop Dogg? Coke.
सोने का भी सीन करें एंडिंग करें
6:30 हो गया ना
लास्ट 5 मिनट है बस इसमें
चलो लास्ट 5 मिनट चलो फिर कर लो तो about Dr. Jaden Smith, he is saying that ये जो democratic system है इसके अंदर जो है ना इमरान खान सही नहीं कर सकता. If you talk about how can you make Pakistan a better nation, so there is this dilemma. He says कि जो कि USA and Europe and all these countries are themselves suffering because of democracy, and they're going in a downward spiral. और वही system आप कह रहे हो कि पाकिस्तान जैसी country में that system could work. So that cannot work. Imran Khan should go on another system. But the dilemma is the day Imran Khan says कि I'm dissolving all this the parliament and I'm going on another system. So against democracy is the fight with the devil. मतलब it's like if you're going,
there's no way.
There's no way.
But I agree, there are limitations in democracy for sure, and I think we're not even implementing. So this might be the solution, that the limitations of democracy are obvious, right? Roman Empire, maybe Caesar had to take control for them to become an empire. They were the Roman Republic. The Roman Republic became the Roman Empire after it became a dictatorship, you know? So democracy gave them this leader, and that leader made a couple of speeches and convinced everyone that he's a dictator now. He's the king, and they're gonna take over the world. So of course, dictatorships is much more smooth and streamlined. Whatever you want to happen will start to happen as soon as the guy says it's gonna happen. You know, democracy by design has loads of roadblocks. It makes everything slow and difficult, so that it can make sure that, or try to make sure that it represents what people want, you know. But I think this is an impossible way. We will never be able to combat democracy and be like, we're going to be something else and be liked by the rest of the world. We don't have enough money for that, right? So what we can do is say that we can do democracy better. Let's do democracy better. Why are we, for example, doing representative democracy in the age of the internet? Why do we need some guy to represent 1 million people in Sindh, or whatever? We need this Hulk god to be represented by this guy. When every person can just vote directly on policy, which can be harder to do over the internet, or at least they can vote with their tax money. Why cannot we say, like, this is just an idea for me, but why can't we just say that when I'm doing my taxes every year, and everyone should be doing their taxes every year so they understand what's happening in their life, when you do that, I say, I want all of my money to go into defense, or I want it all to go into welfare, or I want it to go, healthcare, or whatever. And then it will become a market. It will correct itself whenever we fuck up. But it will be way better than voting for someone and letting them decide for 5 years, or this fucking random corrupt politician. Even if they're not corrupt, you can't trust people to make the right decision. These are difficult decisions. So let it be a marketplace.
But can there be another system? I think the podcast is wrapping up, but what I want to say is that imagine a system and there's this little society. I always have dreamt about this place. There's like this little society in which you've got housing for everyone, and it's like a cheap housing, like a 3D printed housing, and there's like abundant electricity. It's like a solar panel thing or a wind energy thing, something like that. And this society has an education system that is in line with
like a hippie commune.
What
are most people naked?
No, all the people are naked. Some of them are naked. But they got a policy like when the child is like 10 or like 12, they start teaching him something that is gonna help in that community. It's gonna start building some product. I mean, all these amazing people, all these geniuses have started working very young. And by the time they're 20, 21, they've achieved a lot of things. By the time we're 21, we don't know what we're doing. So the society makes these people, and these people go on and they have their jobs, they make the products, and they make some things that are actually important to the economy. And that's how a system works. Isn't that imaginable in a you could have a country within a country like this. I could be like, I have like
it doesn't even have to be that big. Families.
I like buy 500. I make 500 houses somewhere in between Lahore, and I say this is my community, and I'm responsible for these children. I know that every child has something special in him, and I'm gonna find that out in the first 10 years. then I'm gonna give him some knowledge. If the child learns to edit a video by the time he's 10 and he knows how the best video editors are doing these things, he can learn a lot of. If I was given some information when I was 10 or 12,
you could have started.
I could have been way ahead right now. But I'm sort of those person. You were like a rapper, but I never knew my purpose when I was that young. So I think it's time. I think in the new age we can think of a new system as well.
Yeah, but what? So why break down what we have? Why not edit what we have? It's been working out very well. We've pulled out half of the world's population from poverty. We fed people that would have never been fed. You know, we've built buildings and hospitals and all sorts of things and increased our lifespan. We've done all of this stuff thanks to capital. You know, why break that? Let's work with that. We should keep moving forward, but just make sure it's not too harsh.
No, I think we haven't done all of that because of capitalism. Maybe there's poverty, maybe there's developing nations, and all of this because of capitalism.
You want us all to be developing instead?
Or what if they're equally developed? Or, you know, if the top some percent of the world shares wealth with the rest of them, right? Then everybody has
but then what?
Resources.
But then you keep doing that every day?
Every month? But right now there's severe difference.
I would bet if we all got X amount of money, you know, $1 million rupees for example, right? And we looked at us 6 months later, we would be way up and down.
Right? Yeah.
And then what?
Unless we plan together.
But do you want to correct it again then? When do we correct it? When is it fair?
Yeah, but see,
like why is it unfair for this guy's dad to give him a bunch of money plus have an education on how to use it or whatever else? We're talking about inheritance being bad. But then how is it fair that the government just says, fuck you and your dad, and fuck your family, it doesn't matter what you guys are about.
Because the case here is that there's one family and his dad's taken from all these other dads, and he's taken their resources.
But he's not, he's giving them a product.
And he's given them something shitty and said, oh, make yourselves rich now. Right? He's taken all of their... Dude, we used to produce 25% of the world's cotton. I think I told you this before, right? Before the British came. When the British came, we went down to 3%, right? Because then the biggest exporter of cotton became Britain itself. Because they hit the Industrial Revolution, they'd taken all the raw materials, and they kept making their own thing, and then, you know, and so they literally stole from us everything. They took in every department. We say they developed, like, railways or whatever.
It's the last minute.
Well, let's wrap up. This was nice.
I just lastly want to say, if India had done that in some other country, you'd be like, and then we developed it this way, and we made cotton trade.
And then true. Yeah, it's all.
But no, it was awesome, guys. I think it was very interesting.
We
talked about many things.
We'll have this like in another week or so.
Maybe next week we'll talk about Jake Paul and.
And I did mention aliens at one point, and there's a lot to explain, and I can't wait to talk to you guys.
We've been doing this for it's like 6:30 in the morning.
Exactly.
And we've been here for
it's 6:43.
7-8 hours of sleep.
And I don't know, but the conversation was really interesting. I kept, I don't know how I kept myself up. Ahmed over there is apparently he doesn't believe in our product. We know you guys do.
So keep watching our podcast. See you next week. Bye.